We'll call the Maumelle City Council meeting to order. The first thing I need to let you know is Madam City Attorney Davis is out of state, and she is going to be listening on cell phone. So if you do have a question for her, she will be able to respond to that. We did that once before, and it worked out real well. City Clerk Clausen is out and could not be here tonight, and so Megan will be filling in for him. So let's bear with her as she takes the minutes and reads the ordinances and resolutions. First item on the agenda is invocation and pledge of allegiance. I ask you to please rise as I lead you in that. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, Lord, and we're thankful for the many blessings that you bestow upon us daily. We'd ask you to bless this community, bless our citizens, bless the council members as they do the city's business here tonight. We'd ask that you be with us and guide us and really give us wisdom as we do that. We'd ask you to be with our troops that are overseas and serving and those that are in harm's way, especially, Lord. We'd ask you to bless them and bless their families. And, Lord, we're still mindful of the victims of the recent tornadoes. We'd ask you to bless them and comfort them. We know it's been a long and trying process for them. And we'd ask that you comfort them as only you can and give them encouragement to continue on, Lord, as they try to rebuild their homes and their lives, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We don't have any special guests and announcements on the agenda tonight, so the next item is the approval of the minutes of the May 5th regular meeting.
Move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that the May 5th minutes are approved. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is public comment, and I have several public comment cards. I have two that are on non-agenda items, and I have two that are on agenda items. So at this time, we will take the non-agenda items, and if you would, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please. Mr. Rick Scott.
I've been up here enough times, y'all all know me, but I'm Rick Scott, and I'm constable of the Hill Township. And I'll talk to you a little bit about Public Water Authority. I gave everybody except for Ken. Ken, you want one of these? Mic not working? Mic working now? Okay. Did you get one of these for me?
I just got one.
I think that's it. Okay. Get everybody on the same page. That works. Fancy. It almost works. There. Everybody can hear me. All right. For those of you who have one, I don't need to read this to you because I'm assuming even though you're from Arkansas, you can read. Little humor there. You can chuckle. We're serious today. Okay. The biggest thing coming up, I had talked to you all about 2 weeks ago about Public Water Authority and bringing up a few things that I discovered that maybe y'all don't know. One of the things is that the Suburban Improvement District cannot transfer directly to a public water authority. They have to create it first because they are not a nonprofit. So that's part of what you see going on right now is they are having to create this. That's not working. Is that working better? Everybody can probably hear me anyway. So I don't need to go into that. Just know that they're not. It's not a situation where they can just kind of set it up and they're going to roll over into becoming a public water authority. They have to create it from scratch. And then once they have been approved, and that's not by y'all, once they've been approved by the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission, then they will transfer assets over from their improvement district into the Public Water Authority. Now, the question would come up is, can they actually do that? I mean, this has come up. I've been told that there are now about 40 or 50 public water authorities in the state. And this thing is an abomination. I don't know if anybody's gone back and looked at all the details or how many of you have done that. But this thing is as un-American a bill as anything I've ever seen. The people who get involved in it, the city, for example, really has no control. Once they go into a public water authority, once they've been approved, you're out of it. You get to appoint a couple of people. I was wrong, Mike. You were right. But you all get to you get to nominate. And then that board, Public Water Authority, approves them or says, no, we want somebody else. And that could go on for years, really, if you want to look at it. The biggest problem with it is that, like up in my area, if you look at the map, which in your original packets did not come with a map, I'm included. And I'm outside the 1 mile. I have friends who live down along 365, and they have not been consulted, and yet they're included. I think it looks to me like this power of authority area goes clear up to the Faulkner County line all the way over to the river. So you're picking up part of Faulkner County. Whether that's legal or not, I have no idea. I couldn't make it out. But this thing needs to be killed. It is a bad law. It is a bad situation. It'll be bad for Maumelle. And you think you got problems now with the Water Improvement District, at least the Water Improvement District, before they assume new territory, they have to get a vote of yes from the people who are involved in it. Not true with Water Authority. Water Authority goes back to if they want to change their borders or boundaries, they go back to the Resource Commission. Resource Commission says, well, you need more money? They say, yeah, okay, that's a good deal. This is evil. This is not the way America works. If you want to do it, water improvement districts are evil. The original way they were put together was okay. Just neighbors get together and say, hey, we need some water out here. They get a little 3-man or 5-man commission. They put them together. When the bonds get paid off, they disappear. That's a good thing. That's a way that you can get some inexpensive money in order to get your own water or sewer if that's where you want to go. Some smart people figured out how to con the system. And you had a whole bunch of people like in southwest Little Rock that ended up losing their land because they couldn't afford to pay the taxes. You had that situation around here up there on the Count Massey area, where you had people who were going to be run off their land because the amount of money it was going to cost them. There's nothing in this thing that says, here's how much the hookup fees are going to be. Here's nothing in here that says, here's how much the monthly charges are going to be. The Water Authority will have absolute power in this respect. And this is like it's almost designed, I would never say this, of course, but almost designed to run people off their land so they can be developed. Thank you. Any questions? You all have fun figuring out where you want to put your fire station?
Alderman Mosley, wait a
I
minute.
have one question. Have you got any ideas on how to kill it, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I was going to spend some money and go talk to Mark Spradley. Possibly he would know. He's done a lot of work with the improvement districts, and he may have enough knowledge to say you could do this. I think it's going to take legislative action, or the citizens are going to have to get together and take them to court. Going to have to kill it. I don't see. I think it's far enough off the constitutional norm that it really can't stand if anybody wants to push it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Next card I have is from Miss Mary Payton.
It's interesting. I'm Mary Payton, 153 Hibiscus Drive, Maumelle. I'm here tonight, and I'll try to be brief because I know you've got a busy itinerary for tonight. I want to let you know some things that are going on that you may or may not be aware of. There have been questions referred to Maumelle Water Management's legal counsel by City Attorney Janan Davis at the request of Alderman Mosley. His questions are centered around the subject of the City of Maumelle regulating the water rates for the proposed new public water authority. Maumelle Water Management's attorney, Stuart Hankins, has reviewed many of the questions that Janan has sent to him and has submitted several replies back. This process has been going back and forth for quite some time now. I've never seen on any of the emails or correspondence that I have seen personally that any of you have been copied, and I know that the mayor is aware of it, but I'm not sure that the rest of you are. Your council packet tonight contains a 27-page memorandum from Ms. Davis to you on the topic. And then, in addition, Alderman Mosley has included another 8-page memo on the topic. Ms. Davis can answer any legal questions that you have, but if you'll let me just kind of summarize the responses that I've seen so far. A public water authority's operation falls under the direction of the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission. ANRC does not have any regulations which allow a city to dictate price controls on a public authority. Rates for the Public Water Authority are set by the Public Water Authority's Board of Directors. The very concept of an outside political body price fixing the rates flies in the face of the American enterprise system. Would you ask Entergy to let you regulate their rates, or Centerpoint to regulate their rates? Many years ago, the city did pass an ordinance to approve rate increases, but to borrow a phrase from Alderman Mosley, this was a unilateral move on the city's part. Maumelle Water Management did not contest it. We never challenged it. In the interest of cooperation, we went along with the ordinance and have tried to act responsibly and in a spirit of cooperation with it. So this gets to a larger point. Is it really about Maumelle Water Management's rates? Or is it about something other than that? We've had 2 attorneys working on this now, compiling page after page after page, costing the citizens of Maumelle and Maumelle Water Management ratepayers a lot of money. We have kept our rates in the 50th percentile, which I consider to be an excellent job in light of the fact that we have been one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Arkansas. Trying to maintain that level of growth has been difficult at best, but we have kept up with the growth and the needs. So it seems that it's not really about the rates. And I would like for you to consider what you think the situation really is. I had my own doubts about transitioning to a PWA, but as one of your aldermen suggested to me, and I took it seriously, MWM MSID 500 needed to modernize. And so we have attempted to embrace the PWA as a way of doing that. I believe that it is the right way for us to go. In fact, I have absolutely no doubts about it. But here we are again, and we're back to where we were 8 years ago, 10 years ago maybe. I'm not really sure when the ordinance was passed, but it's been a long time ago. And I think it was Yogi Berra who said, this is deja vu all over again, because we're right back to doing the same thing over and over and over again. So just kind of think these things through for me, if you would. Do you really think that as alderman you have the ability to price fix a utility? How much time have you invested on the subject of Maumelle Water Management operations? Many of you have invested a lot of time, and we certainly do appreciate that. Are you familiar with the names and the faces of the Maumelle Water Management employees? What they do, what a great job they do on behalf of the ratepayers of the city? Is this about what's right for the people of Maumelle, or is this more about settling old scores? How much more time and how much more money do you, as a council, want to spend on this endeavor? I can tell you firsthand that I don't want to spend another dime on it. I think we're moving in a direction that will be good for the city of Maumelle. We are making every effort to be cooperative and to work with the city in development, in supplying water and wastewater services to the citizens of Maumelle, and in moving forward with this in an effective and efficient manner. Most importantly, is we need to get back to the business of serving the citizens of Maumelle with water and wastewater services and try to get beyond the bickering and the constant controversy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Payton. Alderman Mosley.
Yeah, I'd like to reply a little bit to Ms. Payton's comments here. In most cases, monopolies are regulated by somebody. You've got, as you mentioned, CenterPoint and Energy. You've got the Public Service Commission that regulates them. There's really not an entity that regulates rates of Maumelle water management except for the city of Maumelle. We did pass that ordinance in 1995, I believe, that required MWM to come before the city council on rate increases, and that has been honored. They've always done that, and what I've been trying to do is figure out how to keep that check and balance in place as they move to a public water authority. I think that is a good check and balance, and we need to have that. There will be supposedly 2 people on the water board that are nominated by the city council. If there were 3 or more, I don't think there would be a need for such a check and balance. But I still think that the citizens would like to see that, and I think we ought to be doing all we can to kind of see the check and balance stays in place. I'm not entirely sure yet, one way or the other, whether it is even possible. There's the rules over PWAs are it's kind of hard to find, and I was going to ask City Attorney Davis about that later on to see if she thought we should ask for an opinion to see if we can regulate them as an authority, as a city entity. But anyway, it's one thing I think the citizens would like here in Maumelle is have Democratic control over the water department. I think they'd like to be able to vote somebody out if they don't like how it's going. That's not in place, and I'd like to see it get there someday. And you mentioned an interchange of emails and research here. I've seen one interchange that came about originally that was just kind of standard procedure with City Attorney Davis, but I haven't seen any since. If there's been a lot more money and time expended, I haven't seen it. And if Ms. Davis has it, I'd like to see whatever you all have been interchanging on. That's all I've got for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mosley. Okay, the other 2, and actually, that one could have been, it wasn't an item we were going to vote on, so that's why I ran those 2 items first. But the other 2 are tied to the fire station land purchase, so I'm going to hold those until we get to resolution number 2014-24. Madam City Attorney, did you want to say something? It lit up. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I could hear part of the discussion. I didn't hear all of it, but I would just like to refer to the memo, and then I'll be happy to discuss with Alderman Mosley a drafting of an ordinance on its passage and consideration will remain the same based on my research.
And what is that recommendation?
They asked what was the recommendation, Janine?
I recommend that it's my recommendation that it shouldn't be passed because I do not believe that it would be legally enforceable.
Alderman Lewis.
And I think, we began this sort of search, I guess it was last year when we passed a resolution, sort of reaching out for cooperation on some fronts to make some substantive changes to the governing body. We have done that. I'm sorry that, as Mr. Scott said earlier, that we were perhaps partaking in an evil venture. I don't think the 50-something other water authorities out there believe they're part of an evil adventure or evil venture. I certainly know that I'm not. If so, and some of you think that I'm evil, please approach me after the meeting. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. But we have plenty of precedents of these sorts of water authorities that are standing. This gives us the ultimate goal, which was to move from a clunky 1940s style water setup with a suburban improvement district into something more modern, something that could be amended along the way. This is the preferred method for many of the water utilities because they are under the regulation of the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission. They will remain as a body. And again, if you're looking at rates being a big discussion, their rates are at the median. They have never, to my mind, been an issue. So the caution I don't understand. We're going to have now 2 voting members, part of this board as well. And so what we have had over the last year, I think, have been sort of 2 different paths of approaches. One that sought to make substantive changes in a very participative way, and one that has tried to force change in some takeover kind of style. And I know City Attorney Davis has spent several hours working on not just the memos and these questions, but also the possibility of a city takeover, and all roads come back to the answer of no. And we have our answer here tonight from the city attorney. The recommendation is no. We are seeing quality changes, both in the number of people that will be representing the city of Maumelle, now with the city presence of people voting. And in addition, we're seeing changes not only just with the leadership, but also other things, like we're discussing now water staging for the first time ever, which is an important thing, not just for conservation, the issue that we get into another water drought situation, but also perhaps maybe we don't have to go as far as to ban sprinkling to just 1 day a week. Maybe you can use your hose after 8 p.m. to water. This is a water utility that is listening if we as a city will participate in the ways in which I think this system was meant to work. So I think that we're on a positive course. I don't think that it's necessary to beat this over the head when the answer is no, and I certainly don't think that it's productive or rational to call it evil. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lewis. Alderman Mosley.
Yeah, I haven't called it evil, but I'd like to resume this discussion when Ms. Davis is here. It's hard to communicate with her over the telephone. So perhaps we should table this.
Well, there's nothing to vote on. I mean, this was public comment, and 2 aldermen started a discussion. So, and we do have the memos coming up in the PWA later on in the meeting, and we can discuss it at that time. But there's still no action to be taken by this council, so there's nothing to be tabled at this time.
That's
so
fine. Let's just let it
and
go
it could be addressed at the next meeting.
All right,
for sure.
Let's wait and see how much time we have later, and then maybe we'll go on next time. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson.
I would like to agree with Alderman Lewis primarily because we're trying to work together. And I think I introduced the thing that where we would work together and try to do something, and they're definitely working with us and everything like that. I mean, it may not be the perfect solution, but we might find the perfect solution if we work together with them. I feel very strong. I think he said it very adequate. And I know, hey, it used to be really bad feelings, and I think they've come a long ways, and I think we're getting somewhere, and everything like that. Maybe the Public Works, I don't think the city could run a water company, I wouldn't think, because these people are specialists in it. But anyway, I just wanted to agree with Alderman Lewis because I think he's made a good point.
Alderman Hogue?
If there's been ongoing communication between Madam City Attorney and Alderman Mosley,
That hasn't been the case. There's been one email exchange. Madam City Attorney sent an email to Mr. Hankins with Maumelle Water Management, and then he replied back to that email. That's the exchange, to the best of my knowledge.
really hasn't been anything that the other 7 council members have been excluded from.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything other than the one the mayor's referring to. So I'm not sure
There
what
were-
Ms. Payton's talking about.
I haven't been privy to any others other than the initial questions that Madam City Attorney asked the Maumelle Water Management's attorney, and he replied back on those.
Mr. Mayor, I can say that I have had ongoing discussions along the same lines with Mr. Hankins, and you can find every conclusion, everything that it's led me to in the memo. That's the reason for the length and the breadth of the memo to avoid, just having you read through emails. And in addition to that, my discussions with him led me to my own research, which is what you're seeing as the product in the packet. So I'll be happy to produce the emails between Mr. Hankins and I, but it's going to be the same thing that you're seeing there, and part of it anyway. I'll be happy. I can forward those all if necessary. But, I kind of felt like the most of the council would probably be bored with the constant streaming of back and forth email between 2 lawyers. I'll be happy to provide that, though.
I'll be happy with what we've got at this time, unless something else were to come up. We'll just,
Okay.
what we've got.
All right. So it's not necessary right now, Janan. The memo should be sufficient. So, Alderman Lewis?
Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, I took from all that to mean that there's not necessarily any, there's no secrecy here or anything like that. I think the point to be gleaned from this is, we have, and Madam City Attorney and I spoke last week, she's put 3 billable hours at, and Madam City Attorney can remind me of a rate, but I don't think it's above $90 or more than an hour. And we had discussions last year pertaining to this as well, in which we've evoked the City Attorney. And not only that, the people of Maumelle are going to pay through their water rates for the legal counsel for MWM. So in a way, you are getting double billed in a pursuit by one alderman on an issue that I really don't think is reflective of this council's desire to search out something.
Alderman Mosley?
There's a check and balance in place currently, and I wanted to be sure that we've done all that we can do to make sure these checks and balances stay in place with a monopolistic company that nobody really regulates as far as rates. And that is the primary thing I'm trying to find out, is if we've done all we can do. Based on Ms. Davis's email, it's beginning to sound like it is. Sounds like PWAs may not be able to be regulated. Now, one thing I wanted to ask Ms. Davis, if she thought it was worth asking for an Attorney General's opinion to see if it's possible. I don't know if she can hear me, but if she can reply to that, that's fine. Otherwise, we can get back to that at a later date.
I think the question to me was whether or not we could ask for an Attorney General's opinion.
Yes.
The city itself is not authorized to ask for an Attorney General's opinion. Representative Lowry could do that on behalf of the city, and that's typically the avenue that we've taken in the past.
Okay. You don't have any objections to doing that, is that correct?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Okay. All right. That ends the public comment section, as I said. Next item is the financial statement review, and we do that at the second meeting. You have a copy of the financial statements in your packet. Ms. Thompson is here, I assume, outside. Maybe there she is. All right.
Come on down.
If she could get here.
Is there any questions or comments from the council regarding the financial statement? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial statements ending April the 30th, 2014. Is there a discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Next item is procedural motion. We need a resolution, or we need a motion from the floor to read all resolutions and ordinances by title only.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned second that the council read all resolutions and ordinances by title only. Is there a discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. First item under unfinished business is the third reading of ordinance number 849, amending the zoning regulations. Megan, if you'd read those, please.
An ordinance of City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas. An ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 849. An ordinance amending the zoning regulations to establish car wash as a conditional use in a commercial zone and a permitted use in other commercial zones in the City of Maumelle and for other purposes.
Alderman Lewis.
I make a motion we approve Ordinance 849.
Second.
It's been motioned second that the council adopt ordinance number 849. Is there a discussion on that motion? Alderman Mosley.
I'm going to be voting no on this just because I had proposed an amendment way back there on the first reading, wanting to make it a conditional use for both C2 and C3. I think I've got that right. And I'd rather have more control over that on a car wash. So I'll be voting no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mosley. Is there any other discussion? Alderman Johnson.
Generally speaking, could you explain the difference in C1, C2, and 3, just generally?
Well, C1 is typically going to be more of an office type use. C2 is going to be light commercial, and then C3 is going to be commercial that allows for open display, such as a car lot could be in C3 zoning, a lumber store, something to that effect. And then we have another zoning, which is C4, which is more highway commercial zoning. But C1 is more of the, light commercial. The village center area, this area we're at right now, in this area of Maumelle.
You good?
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if you were still waiting. Okay. All right.
I went to sleep.
No, I knew that you were reading. I thought maybe you had another question. Okay. If there's no other discussion, Megan, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Mosley?
No.
Alderman Saunders?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Anderson?
Yes.
Alderman Lewis?
Yes.
Alderman Johnson?
Yes.
Alderman Norris?
Yes.
And Alderman Hogue?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is under new business. We have resolution number 2014-21 allowing specific use of the trademarked rings. Megan, if you'd read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas. A resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2014-21. A resolution allowing a specific use of the trademarked rings owned by the City of Maumelle for local Boy Scout Troop Number 295 on an amulet designed to identify the particular Maumelle troop and for other purposes. Excuse me.
Alderman Norris.
I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 2014-21.
Second.
I second.
Okay, and Mr. Gavin Roberts is here again tonight to answer any questions if you have any. Alderman Johnson.
I just want to say I'm very complimented that y'all would come to the city and ask to use it. I think it's a great thing.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Mosley.
I just say I'm still kind of haven't had my mind made up yet as to how all we should allow the rings to be used. I know there's a couple of concerns by a couple of aldermen on that, but I see no reason not to do it on this one because it's not going to be used in a commercial manner or anything like that. So I can't really think of a better way to actually use it. So I'll be voting yes on this unless somebody can talk me out of it between now and the vote. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion on this item? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes. Thank you, Gavin. We appreciate most of your troop being here tonight, too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. That's 2 meetings in a row, so maybe you ought to get 2 merit badges, right? Can we work that out with the troop leaders or something? Next item is the first reading of ordinance number 851, waiving the competitive bidding bidding procedures. Megan, if you'd read that first time, read it one time, please.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 851. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, declaring exceptional circumstances, waiving the competitive bidding procedures, authorizing the purchase of a fire truck, and for other purposes.
Okay, I've got a light on, but first what I'd like to do is Chief Payne and Captain Holmes are here tonight to do a presentation, and we talked about this purchase of this ladder truck, platform truck, during 2 budget processes. We talked through it in the 2013 budget, and we talked about it in the 2014 budget process. So the $1 million has been appropriated, but we have an opportunity to purchase a truck that's a demonstrator model. And Captain Holmes has headed up a selection process, and they've put some specs together, but this may save the possibility of bidding this truck out and buying the one that's almost ready. So I'm going to let Chief Payne go forward with their presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions when they're done, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mayor, City Councilman, Madam Attorney by phone, and Megan. Thank you very much. The purchase of a new 100-foot ladder truck to replace the current 1991 model ladder truck has been a very much planned and anticipated move by the city and through the fire department. One of the first things I did as the interim fire chief was about 6 months ago was to appoint a committee. I didn't select the committees lightly. There was a representative in all ranks. There was a representative from every shift so that we would have a broad spectrum of it. Most of them had some expertise in certain areas that I valued and was very much trustful of these individuals and their recommendations. Of course, to do that, when you surround yourself with good people, one of the most important things is to let them do their job, and sometimes that's the hardest thing to do is loosen the strings, but I did that. The ideal of the ladder truck, especially with the cost that we're talking about, is to find a truck that fit our needs. As a very unique city, we wanted something that would be, and these are the criteria that I gave them, we wanted a truck that would last 20-plus years. We also, one of the things that I asked them to do is because of the uniqueness of our city with its multiple cul-de-sacs, is that we needed to be looking at a ladder that there are 2 different basic models. One of them is a rear mount and one of them is a midship mount. The midship mount gives us some very good possibilities that we do not have with the ladder truck. And to give you an idea about that, when you face a rear-mounted ladder into a cul-de-sac, you lose the entire length of the body of the truck. So reach becomes a real problem, and it also becomes a problem sometimes in industries. The other was the weight of the truck itself. We want to do minimum damage to our streets because that is an ongoing cost. So one of the criteria I asked them to look at was to take a priority on aluminum ladder trucks because they weighed so much less than that. And Captain Holmes will be expanding on some of this information for you in just a little bit. And also some of our hilly areas such as Stone Ledge and Majestic, simply because of the height of these and the climbs that have to be made with these trucks, we wanted an engine, transmission, and rear end with the proper gearing that would make sure that we could climb these in a timely manner without having problems with the apparatus. To try to keep these, initial research had showed us that Most of these trucks were in the $1,200,000 mark. So I also gave them the criteria that we would consider a demo unit, because what happens with a demo unit is it does go some places, and it is shown to a lot of other cities when it's in that process, but the fit and finish is usually better because they're making it to go to an event and show. This event, this one is built for is FRI, which will be in Dallas, and Fire Rescue International. Excuse me. To make sure that we had a good set of criteria for our selection, I used a process that I was aware of called from Business Process Incorporated that Dr. Kempner and Dr. Trigo put together. And basically it's an analysis of wants and needs. Needs being something that you would not discount. It's something that you have set in your standards and says it's just like going up and finding a car you really like, but it doesn't have an automatic in it and you can't drive a standard. So that's out. And that's the way the gentleman selected and looked at a set of wants and needs for the city and the peculiarities of our city, which makes us a unique community with the cul-de-sacs and mountainous areas that we do have here. I also authorized and sent this group to the Fire Department Instructors Conference in Indianapolis for the purpose of looking at all of the trucks manufactured, interviewing all of the manufacturers there, and discussing the apparatus that they have available and plus what was to be produced in the next little bit. During that period of time, Captain Holmes was able to arrange a tour of the facility for Sutphen in Duluth, Ohio for the committee. And during that period of time when they were in that area, they went up there and looked at it. At that time, we discovered demo unit number 389, and one of our firefighters spent a lot of time photographing this unit plus all the other units that we had looked at in the past. Part of the due diligence is now something that I want to bring to your attention, and I'm going to let Captain Holmes call it. We actually had in our city a number of aerial devices, midships, rear mounts, steel ladders, aluminum ladders, and so we could actually compare them in the city that they're going to protect. So we wanted to make sure that we were looking at something and trying something on our streets and in our hills and in our cul-de-sacs. And Captain, if you'll come forward now.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you on this. As Chief Payne said, there was 4 of us on the committee. One of the things we did, we came together, we talked about the needs and wants analysis. If you'll flip the screen on the next one. One of the reasons for getting rid of the current truck we have now, as we mentioned, it's 90, 91, depending on how you look at it. It's spec'd out as a 90 model. It was delivered in 91, so the paperwork is actually split on them. One will say 90, one will say 91 that we see on that. It was actually made by LTI. LTI is Ladder Towers Incorporated. That company was actually sold to American LaFrance, who is another historic fire truck manufacturer. If you will keep up within the business news section, American LaFrance filed for bankruptcy back in January and completely ceased operations. The problem we're having with that is they are the sole supplier of parts for this truck. We had the truck failed ladder test last year. It was a check valve that went out in one of the cylinders. We spent literally 2 months with a guy that was running through an old warehouse covered with dust trying to find these parts that was left over. So the parts has become absolutely atrocious trying to get that done. That's a huge issue. Another thing we're having issues with is the ladder on it. It's only 75 foot. Our current ladder is a 75-foot ladder. As you know, Autobahn is 100 foot. Pine Forest, 600 Pine Forest is 6 stories. That's 60 feet, which in theory would reach. But the problem you have with the ladder is the further you get away from the building, the less vertical reach you have on that. So we need that longer reach for those. Any building over 3 stories is where we need the ladder truck for. We have new hotels that have moved in. We've got a lot of areas that has become an issue, as well as we've signed a automatic aid group in North Little Rock that they're sending us an engine to help out with fires. We're actually sending ladder trucks to them because they don't have one close. So that's become more and more an issue that we're dealing with as well. Also an issue is truck 1 that we have now. It's a rear open cab design. What that means is the back of it is not enclosed. When you step in, you sit in a jump seat. It has a little flip down bar, and that's your protection that keeps you from falling out. No longer allowed to be sold. You can still have them as long as you have the safety bars in effect, but they aren't allowed to be sold as a truck anymore. So it is a safety issue that we have with that. Next one. Okay, on our needs and wants assessments, we sat down together and we looked at what are the things that we have to have. And on these needs, these are what we want on the truck that we would not sacrifice for, we would put into the truck. The wants were, if we had that money available, if we thought we could come in under budget, we would add these to it. On our needs, one of the things we looked at was a single source manufacturer. Our fire trucks we have now, we run 2 Smil fire apparatus. They're good trucks. The issue we have with them is the fire truck was made by Smil, the cab is made by Spartan. Engine 1, we've had an alignment issue now for several years on that truck. We're wearing tires out on one side. We're running that issue because everyone wants to blame the other person. Spartan says it's a Smil issue. Smil says it's a Spartan issue. So we have that bickering back and forth. That was our goal. We wanted a single source. They made everything with the exception of the engine, transmission, that are generic things everyone outsources, all by the manufacturer. Severe duty air conditioner, we're in the South. That goes without saying, especially last year. It's good for the firefighters' rehab as well as car wrecks, fires. We will actually bring the general public in, let them sit in the cab if we need to rehab them and cool them down as well. So we use it for multi-purpose. Minimum 90-foot ladder. We want the 100-foot. There's some manufacturers that only make a 95-foot ladder, so we didn't want to exclude that. We want to have those in that bidding process as well. A parapet ladder included on the platform. This is a fold-down ladder. If you look at some of the false ceilings, if you look at the biggest one is Methodist Hospital. You see this big top, nice parapet around the top of it? That's actually a 10-foot drop down. So if we ladder the top of that, we've got another 10-foot drop down before we get down to the roof ladder. We wanted something that was built in, had that ladder that we could actually fold down and immediately get on the roof of that building if need be. Stokes basket for getting injured people down from higher elevations. A laptop mount on the officer's dash. The fire service is going more computer. Everything is going computerized. We wanted to plan for that, have that available, especially as cheap a cost as that is from the start, so we had that available to us. Side scene lights and a front brow light that was 12-volt. This is where we could flip a switch on the inside of the truck. We can light up the front of the scene, the side scenes when we're pulling up, seeing addresses, quickly be able to light up for the safety of the crew. A front jump line. This is simply a line we pull off the front. If we have a trash fire or dumpster fire, instead of having to pull a tack line off the side, we can pull this one attack line off the front. It's quicker to deploy and honestly a little bit easier to put back up. Saves time putting back into service. And then since this is going to be short-staffed with one person for the start of this, we wanted a rear and right side driving cameras. When you're making that right turn, you're having to back up that one person. We needed a camera where you could actually see what was going on around the inside. On the wants, we wanted local repair within 50 miles. We wanted to have it where we didn't have to drive our Smil. Our dealership went out of business here. Our dealership for Smil now is in Batesville, so it's a long hike up there if that happens, if we have to take it. Dual interior AC units. This is one on the bottom as well as the top. That way you have that maximum cooling power. Once again, 100-degree plus weather we're dealing with. A Watrous brand fire pump. All fire pumps are good. All of our fleet has Watrous. By going with the same fire pump, that just streamlines the fleet. If we need one part, it covers everything. Dual functions, fog, smoothbore on the master stream. All LED lighting. The thing with all LED lighting, it's very expensive, but it's a lot less amp draw. It's easier on the equipment. They last 10,000 hours is recommended on it. We're not changing bulbs out all the time, as well as it's easier on the electrical system on the truck. We're not overpowering it. We have electrical issues on some of our trucks now from the heavy amp draw. With LED lighting, we take that away. Also, the 4,500 PSI basket air supply system. This is simply if you're operating up in elevation in the bucket, putting water on the fire, smoke coming at you, you've actually got an onboard system. You can plug in with your air mask, and you can stay hours at a time up there as you need to, not having to come down, change bottles out on your air supply system. Next one. On the demo trucks, we had several trucks that actually came into Maumelle that we looked at. 3 of these we actually brought into the city and actually operated. One of them we saw at the FDIC conference we talked about. The first one was the 100-foot E1, a rear mount platform. This is when we say rear mount, the ladder is mounted to the back of the truck. It goes across, the basket is mounted on the front. And I will have some pictures of that here in a minute. We also looked at a 100-foot Ferrara midship mount. We looked at the 100-foot Sutphen midship mount, and then the third one there, the 100-foot Smil mid-mount. We actually looked at that one at the FDIC, and we do have pricing on all of these of what these trucks actually going to cost. All right, the first one we brought to the city was the rear one, the E1 rear mount, and there were several things with this one. It's a good truck. It's a very good truck. As you can see, one of the downfalls, in addition to the ladder going across the top, you can see where it places the platform, the basket of this truck. You have all this overhang over the cab. If you can imagine pulling up to a red light, you're way back because you cannot see. You have this whole overhang over the front of you. As you're making turns, now you have this overhang swing in front of you. Apartment complexes, making them around that. You have this huge overhang that you have to account for when you're making these turns. Okay, next one. Okay, here's a view from the front. Same thing over you. Next one. Okay. The pros and cons. One of the biggest pros with the E1, they are one of only 2 ladder manufacturers in the United States that has never had either a structural ladder failure or a tip-over failure of their ladder. Sutphen, being the one we're going to present you the demo truck, is the other one. They have a service center is located in Bryant, so it's local access in Bryant, Arkansas, and they have a 2.5 to 1 structural safety factor. And what that means is, based on the weight limit of the ladder, it's tested to 2.5 times that. So you have a 1,000-pound weight limit, it's guaranteed it's up to 2.5, that safety factor that you can put on it. If it gets shock loaded, something actually happens. The cons to it was the rear mount ladder design. What Chief Spain spoke of with the cul-de-sacs, one of our biggest issues is cul-de-sacs. So as you go into a cul-de-sac, if you already have an engine in place, it's very hard to pull around and back the truck in. In order to get the maximum use of that ladder with a rear mount, it needs to be backed in. With a mid-mount, you can pull in at an angle, the ladder comes right off the side, so you get the maximum use of the length of the ladder. It's a big advantage to us, especially in cul-de-sacs. We spoke with other cities, Springdale, Magnolia, some other ones that have went this route that have a lot of similar characteristics we have, and we got the same thing from those, that was what they looked at on that. Also in there, one of the cons was not enough space. It has 100 cubic feet less of storage than the truck we're looking at. And when you start putting equipment on there, everything in the fire service is bulky. That's a lot of equipment. Another issue I will say with the E1 that we had a mechanical failure with that truck with the demo when they brought it down. We were on Majestic. We started to make a turn. We have some of our cul-de-sacs that are crowned a little bit on the top. As we made that turn, it actually, because we don't know if it's the weight, we don't know, but you can see the distance from the tire to the fender well. It pushed the wheel up into the wheel well and damaged the truck. So that was an issue we had with that one. We also brought in the Ferrara. This was a Ferrara 100-foot mid-mount, a very good truck as well. We liked the cab on it. It had the most spacious cab of any truck we did. The biggest downfall of this truck is it has a steel ladder on it. This truck, unloaded, nothing on it yet, weighs 78,000 pounds. To put that in comparison, an 18-wheeler running up and down the road can weigh a maximum of 80,000 pounds, and it has 2 extra axles on it. So we've got 78,000 pounds unloaded going through there. To actually move this down, to actually bring it to the manufacturing plant, some states they have to get special permits because it's overweight just driving it here. So that was a big concern with it. Another concern we had with this truck is we also experienced a mechanical failure with this as well. We don't know if it was the weight. We don't know if it was just a manufacturer defect, what happened with that. But we take one of the things, the criteria we have is the truck has to pull stone ledge. Stone ledge is one of our steepest hills. So we take all the trucks and we require the manufacturers to actually pull that hill. This truck struggled going up it, very heavy. As it got halfway up, something popped. It locked in first gear, and we ended up, I didn't put this picture in, but we ended up calling a low boy and getting it towed out. It broke the transmission. Like I said, can't say it was a lot of extra weight on it, whether or not that was a factor, but the truck did suffer a mechanical failure. All right, next one. Okay, the pros of it, I said the large cab, the mid-mount design. The cons, low compartment capacity. Once again, it had very little compartment space in it to actually store the needs that we'll have on this. Weighs a minimum of 78,000 pounds fully loaded. With equipment, water, and personnel, it can go over that. Some of them were 81, 82, 83,000 pounds. Also, this truck as a demo had a $1.1 million price tag on it as a demo truck. That was a demo. And as we put on there, it needs a larger engine due to the weight of the truck. All these trucks come standard with a 500 horsepower. You can get a 600 horsepower, which is about $14,000 more, adds fuel cost, adds weight. This truck needed it just to pull the hills. It was too heavy for what it had. Next one. Okay, and then the other truck we had brought in was the Sutphen. The Sutphen, this is Magnolia, Arkansas. They brought this truck down when they were delivering it to Magnolia. This truck has a lot of features. I'll be honest with you, when we sat down and did the pros and cons, what led us to this truck, and we were really surprised when we found what we found on the demo market with it, this truck had 0 cons that we put down. Everything that we required for the city of Maumelle, this truck met. The good thing about this one is it's aluminum ladder. It's one of the other trucks that, like I said, has never had a structural ladder failure. They have been making trucks since 1890. It's a family-owned business, been in business since 1890. They invented the platform design truck in 1950. They only make midship mounts. They're so believe in it, this is all they make. They do not make a rear mount truck. Some of the features, the one thing we like the most about this one is it weighs unloaded 60,800 pounds. Fully loaded, we have a scale ticket in our book here. Fully loaded, this truck went through the scales right at 68,000 pounds. So right off the bat, we're anywhere from 5 to 8 tons less with this truck than any other truck. When you start making turns in hot cul-de-sacs and those wheels dig in, that's a big difference. With our road issues, that can be a big difference on it. I'll be honest, I was not 100% sold when I first started looking at this and found this out, because the first thing that popped in my head, I'm a car guy. First thing popped in my head, we're going to make a truck that's 10,000 pounds or 10 tons less, but it's heavy duty. How do we do that? So I started questioning that myself. Flip a couple of pages. Let's see. All right, this is setting this up. Flip one more page. Okay, right here. So we actually got to go to Ohio. We went and toured the plant. And what we found was the way they did it is they use lighter weight material on some stuff, but they use it in a heavier duty manner. The cab on their trucks, all their cabs are reinforced aluminum cabs. So we went to aluminum cab, but it has extra reinforcement in it to make it a lighter weight design. The body on the truck, if you go to the next one, is completely stainless steel. What that gets you for you is zero corrosion. I know Chief Payne is going to finish up here with some warranty stuff in a minute. They actually warrant the frame on this truck for life and the aerial apparatus part for 20 years. They believe it that much. We said it's a 20-year truck. This is a truck that we can actually put out there that's actually warranted. Some of the features on it, the safety features, it actually has a double wall frame construction. So they take the frame and they put a second frame inside it for that double wall protection. Where the aerial apparatus actually mount, it is actually a triple wall. It's actually a triple wall frame is what gives it strength. By doing that, most trucks have to put what's called a torque box, and this is a series of metals that connects and puts the ladder there that actually holds the ladder as it goes back and forth. With this one, it uses the strength of the frame. So what that does is it moves the center of gravity to the bottom of the truck. It's lower. UL Labs have tested this truck. They are actually not required to put a rollover control system in this truck. The center of gravity is so low, it has almost zero rollover potential because of the center of gravity. The ladder box it's called a box beam construction. It's built like a crane. It's actually a square box on the bottom of the ladder for stability, whereas most of your trucks are a three-sided one. By doing that, they actually have a 3-to-1 safety factor. It's rated for 1,000 pounds of weight in the bucket. It's guaranteed by UL up to 3,000 pounds. It has that safety feature for that longer lasting. Also, it is aluminum ladder. It is not welded. It uses huck bolts. It's completely a huck bolt design, which is what they use in aircrafts. With welds, you can get integrity issues with the welds. Over time, you have to have those welds rechecked because you start having fatigue fractures in them. With the huck bolting, it's a permanent thing. They're bolted. They're there. They're not coming loose. You're not going to have weld issues with it. Talked about the parapet ladder. Another good thing with it we liked with it was the wiring on it. The cab wiring on this thing, actually, we talked about having issues with some of our regular lighting. With this truck, the wiring through the cab, every 3 inches is color-coded and number-coded. So if we have an issue 10 years down the road and we have a wire that's giving us issue and we know it's this light number or wire number 12, we can go to the main part of the truck, find wire number 12, and we can actually check those. It's a much simpler operation than what we've dealt with electrical in some of our trucks we have now. Okay, flip the page if you would, please. So when we were in Ohio, this is the truck we saw. This is the truck that we're proposing to buy from Maumelle. It's on the market. We've actually got a hold on it right now pending what we can decide in this today. When we looked at this truck, we went across our needs and stuff. The only thing that this truck does not have that we had on our list was the front jump line. It does not have a front jump line, which is going to be a massive operation to add it to it. The thing is, it has 3 cross lays on the side, so that's not an issue based on that. We still have that side line we can pull. That was the only thing on our specs that this truck did not make. Okay, if you flip another one. I just got these sent to me yesterday. This is the truck as of 3 days ago. This is where we're at in the process. The truck is completed. It's been ladder tested. It's been pump tested. It is ready to go. Like Chief Payne said, they're wanting to demo it at Dallas. So it's going to go from here to Dallas. And at that point, we would be able to accept delivery on it in late August, early September, depending on if they had to do any fine-tuning on it during that process. Okay, on some pricing issues, just to give you an idea of where we're at. The first one we looked at, the rear mount E1, they offered us that truck at the demo price for $980,000. It is since sold. It sold a week or so later. It went to Canada. If we bid that truck out, it would run us anywhere between $1.1.5 million. The Ferrara, the 78,000-pound truck, they offered us that demo for $1.1 million. It would be over 1.2 if we spec'd it out. The Smil, I don't have pictures here. That was one that was very similarly designed like this, except it was a steel ladder. It was at FDIC. It was for $1.3 million was the asking price. If you can back up one slide. One more, I'm sorry, to the Magnolia truck. One more. Okay, this truck here, the Magnolia truck, they purchased this truck last year is when they started the process. When they bought this truck, they agreed to pay for the total cost up front, 11, 12 months in advance, so they could get a cheaper price. They paid $987,000 for this truck, is what they paid out the door year in advance. Since that time, there's been, they're calling it a 5%, it's like 4.87 across the board increase. If we said we want to piggyback this truck right here, the same order, give us this truck, and we paid $1 million in advance right now in order to get the truck 12 months from now, it would be $1,085,000 is what this truck would cost us right here. Okay, the demo truck that I just showed you is this truck plus some extra, I'm going to call them safety options on it. It is all LED lighting, which is almost an $8,000 option. It has, they call it the stairway to heaven. The lights up on all the rungs has LED lighting across the rungs. So if you have to climb at night, you have that lit up. That is an $8,000 option. They have also agreed that on this whole truck, they will custom make the shelving for us. They're going to actually make the shelving to our specs of what we designed it for. We can buy this truck right now. They offer it to us for $1,085,000, but if we pay $1 million up front in basically 3 months in advance, we can deduct $16,000. Since we're not using what we were originally talking about to do as the buy board cooperative, which we had some issues with that, we can deduct another $1,500 for that. That brings the overall purchase price to $1,068,108. Couple of things. I know that's over budget over the $1 million. I will tell you today, buying a midship mount truck, there is no way we can bid a truck out and get under that $1 million. Before I came to the fire service 10 years ago, I was in business management for 10 years. I understand money. I understand the bid process. I think it's a good thing. I would not come to you saying, let's do away with the bid process if I honestly did not think this was the best one. I started this process in November, and to be honest with you, my wife is more than ready for this process to be over. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort in it. We have made phone calls to departments. We went to departments. We have checked with people that are experts in this field, and this is the best truck for the city of Maumelle. The flip side, we're also going to sell truck one. That is the plan. I put a lot of time and research into that. I told you some of the downfalls, the open cab. It's 24 years old, 23 years old now. Best I can figure, looking at online trade, and these are the asking prices and what the price is selling for, we're looking at anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000 is what we can get out of our current truck. So that brings that price down to a little closer, around $30,000 over what that original was. I will also tell you that we have one department that's local that has expressed interest in the truck, that if it does come up for sale, they are very interested, and we do have a potential buyer that would be interested in that truck now. So we do have those available to us. Once again, I appreciate your time. I know Chief Payne wants to finish up. We're available for any questions you may have on this.
I'll try to be brief, but I did want you to understand that we had put the due diligence in that looking at this truck and making sure that it fit our unique need of our city and anticipated long-term planning for a 20-plus year truck. Also in that respect, and Chief Holmes, or Captain right now, he's been a setup chief for a little bit there. The warranties are also something that tells us about this truck. The fact that he mentioned that there's only two companies out there that manufactures this type of truck that have not had a failure. And I don't have to remind you, when a ladder fails, usually it's not very good for the people who are being rescued or the people who were in the bucket trying to do the rescue. They stand behind it very much so. They have a 20-year structural warranty on the aerial itself. They have a lifetime warranty on the frame, as he alluded to. And some of the other components that are major problem areas that we're dealing with on some of our other vehicles right now. The stainless steel body has a 10-year warranty. The aluminum cab has a 10-year warranty, and all the plumbing has a 10-year warranty. Plus, the paint has 7-year warranty. So this is not a truck that is just put together lightly. This is a company that's been in business for a long period of time. They build a quality product, and it's well recognized in the industry. And I do not take it lightly to ask you to spend this kind of money, but I would ask you to purchase this vehicle for the fire department, because I feel it's in the best interest of the citizens and the city itself, first of all in the cost of it, and second of all, the long-term life of it, and then third and most important to us, for the safety of our citizens as well as our firefighters. If you have any questions, Captain Holmes and I will be glad to answer those at this time.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Captain Holmes. Alderman Lewis.
Very impressive job in researching that, and not only just the field tests that you did here, but going to the factory as well. It's very commendable, and can definitely tell you gentlemen have done your homework on that. One small question that comes to mind right now, and this is just, I'm not aware of this. When we make this purchase, do we have to pay a sales tax?
We do not.
We do not. Okay. Looks good to me. There'll be additional conversation, but I'll go ahead and make the motion that we suspend the rules and execute a second and third reading of ordinance number 851.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and have a second and third reading of ordinance number 851. Is there any discussion on that motion? Alderman Norris?
Amusingly, I was writing down questions as you were going through the presentation, and just about the time I'd finish with my question, you'd answer the question that I just had. I'm generally very skeptical about waiving the bidding process, but I think you guys have thoroughly explained the different trucks that you've put your hands on and tried and given the pros and cons. So in this instance, I don't have a problem with it at all.
Thank you. Alderman Mosley?
I'm going to echo what Alderman Norris just said. That was a very, very impressive presentation there. Appreciate it. A lot of detail was attended to. This has been something that's been talked about for several years, and I think the City Council has probably gotten very comfortable with this idea. It's a lot of money, but it's been planned for, and Alderman Kelly has given us a lot of insights at budget meetings and things like that on problems with the current truck and what the benefits would be of a new one. So I'm gonna be like Alderman Norris. I'm gonna vote it through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do want to point one thing out, and it was mentioned, and I don't remember if Captain Holmes said it or Chief Payne, but we actually looked at going through a buy board. I think it was Captain Holmes. Buy board is similar to a state purchasing contract, and so it's a cooperative purchasing group. It's based in Texas, but we couldn't get comfortable with the processes they'd gone through. And so we felt, and Madam City Attorney, we spent a lot of hours discussing this, but she felt comfortable with it more if we went through the ordinance process. We can purchase vehicles through the state purchasing contract where someone's given them a price on it, but there were 7 vendors that had actually quoted this same fire ladder truck. So there were 7 different vendors, so we felt like that the ordinance was the best way to go, and so based on her advice, that's also why we went with this route. Just wanted to make that very clear. The buy board, Sudvin would have had to pay $1,500 to buy board, so that is a reduction that we're getting by doing it this way. I mean, it's a small savings, but the 5% is the bigger savings that we'd have if we ordered this exact same truck. It would be 5% more just because of their cost increases. Alderman Norris?
Just really quickly, what were you meaning when 7 other companies bid the same fire truck?
On buy board, which was like when the state purchasing office, when they purchase a vehicle, it'll say an extended cab pickup truck, 3/4 ton. Well, they give it to one dealership. Only one dealership then gets that truck. So if you buy a 3/4 ton truck in the state of Arkansas through with an extended cab through that, there's one there. With the buy board, they had 7 different trucks listed with a 100-foot platform. All of them had different prices.
But it wasn't 7 different trucks like the one that was just described.
No. They're different manufacturers, different
That's why I was
everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, if there's no other discussion, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and have the second and third reading. Megan, if you do roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hogue,
Yes.
Alderman Norris,
Yes.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Lewis,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Kelly,
Yes.
Alderman Saunders,
Yes.
and Alderman Mosley.
Yes.
Okay, if you will do the second and third readings, Megan.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 851, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, declaring exceptional circumstances, waiving the competitive bidding procedures, authorizing the purchase of a fire truck and for other purposes. Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 851, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, declaring exceptional circumstances, waiving the competitive bidding procedures, authorizing the purchase of a fire truck and for other purposes.
Okay, we've just had the second and third reading.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 851.
It's been motion second that the council adopt an ordinance number 851. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, roll call vote, Megan.
Alderman Mosley,
Yes.
Alderman Saunders,
Yes.
Alderman Kelly,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Lewis,
Yes.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Norris,
Yes.
and Alderman Hogue.
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Johnson.
I'd like to compliment her as she reads about as fast as Bill Spivey.
Okay. We do need to adopt the emergency clause on this if we can.
I'll make a
also.
motion that we execute the emergency clause for ordinance number 851 for immediate application of the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to invoke the emergency clause for ordinance number 851. Is there any discussion on that motion? Alderman Norris.
This is a question I probably should have asked a minute ago. Are we going to be able to, assuming the council votes in favor of it, are we going to be able to save that 15 or 16,000 by paying in advance?
Yes, we are. Well, if the budget resolution is passed,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
And that requires us to pay by May 30th, and that's why we've asked for the emergency clause.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no other discussion, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hogue,
Yes.
Alderman Norris,
Yes.
Alderman Johnson,
Yes.
Alderman Lewis,
Yes.
Alderman Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Kelly,
Yes.
Alderman Saunders,
Yes.
Alderman Mosley.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So that completes the waiving of the competitive bidding process. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 2014-22, amending the 2014 general fund budget. Megan, if you'd read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas. Resolution number 2014-22, a resolution to amend the 2014 general fund budget.
Well, and let me say something. I should have caught this earlier, but I didn't want to make any premature judgments. But we can reduce this to $1,068,100 if somebody wants to amend this. But the provision is we have to submit it by May the 30th. So, but we could amend this to go with the discounted price. Alderman Hogue.
If we leave it like it is and we don't spend that additional 16,000, it's going back into the general fund anyway.
That's correct.
Then I don't see any problem
Okay.
with leaving it like it is.
Okay. All right.
For purposes of the record, I think we should. I'll make a motion that we do amend the dollar amount to the revised figure. In case we do have media here this evening, it might be applicable, that we give the exact amount in which we will be spending on it. So I do make the motion we use the revised figure that Mayor Watson has mentioned.
Second.
Okay, it's been motion second that we amend resolution number 2014-22 to read $1,068,108. Is there a discussion on that motion? Alderman Kelly?
I know time is short on this this transaction. I just want to make sure that is the exact figure, that we don't box ourselves in because we missed it by $5,000 or something.
Well, that's the offer that was made to us by Sutton.
On the comments page for this product, it does say $1,069,608.
Right, but if you keep reading, it says there's a $1,500 reduction if we don't use buy board.
If we don't use buy board.
Right, and we're not using buy board. So that is correct, but there it talks about another $1,500. So that's the number I came up with. That's the number Captain Holmes came up with earlier also. So we're in agreement anyway. I'm not going to say Ms. Thompson agrees with us, but Captain Holmes and I agree because, yeah, if you look in the next paragraph, it says you may deduct the buy board $1,500 fee should you pursue other purchasing venues, and that's what we're doing here tonight.
If we come up $500 short, I'll pass the hat.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss this.
Well, we need to send $1 million by May the 30th. The remaining $68,000 would be paid upon delivery of the truck. So we have more time to take care of that transaction if we find out we owe another $500. Alderman Johnson?
If we're sending them $1 million, I sure hope they're an honorable company and have all of it.
We will have a contract. And you saw the truck. It is built, so yes.
So it's $1,068,108.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. That's the amended. We haven't voted on that yet, so yes, ma'am. All right, we have a motion to amend resolution number 2014-22 to $1,068,108. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes. Okay, now I need a motion to approve the amended resolution.
Make a motion we approve resolution number 2014-22.
Second.
As amended.
As amended.
Okay, thank you.
Hallelujah.
We have a motion on the floor to pass resolution number 2014-22 as amended. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Your presentation was very good. The next item is resolution number 2014-23, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement. Megan, if you'd read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas. Resolution number 2014-23. A resolution authorizing the mayor of the City of Maumelle to execute an interlocal agreement between Pulaski County, Arkansas and the City of Maumelle and the City of North Little Rock for purposes of the installation of an adaptive traffic system and for other purposes.
Okay, this is the 13 signals along the boulevard that go all the way from the other side of Interstate 430 to the north side of Interstate 40. There's 2 traffic signals in Pulaski County. There's 6 in Maumelle, and there's 5 in North Little Rock. Metro Plan has put a project together, and through the enhancement projects, corridor enhancement projects, that they've allocated 80% of the $546,000 that we've estimated that it will take to do this project. The cities and the county will have to make up the 20% difference, and we hope to have some funding that will also pick that up, but that's not guaranteed. And so we want to make sure that we cover this. And as part of since there's 3 jurisdictions working on this, the Highway Department requires this interlocal agreement between the 2 cities and the counties to move forward with this. And Maumelle would serve as the lead agency on this. This was the idea that I took to Judge Valines and Mayor Smith with North Little Rock. And this same interlocal agreement is going before the Pulaski County Quorum Court on Tuesday night. I went to their agenda meeting last Tuesday night. It will also be going before the North Rock City Council this coming Monday night for adoption by their council. Now, if one of them doesn't adopt it, then it's going to cause some issues with making it work. But it seems like we've got this worked out between everybody. Alderman Norris.
First of all, Mayor, I just wanted to thank you. I know you've been working really hard and trying to wrangle up different agencies, which isn't always easy, so thank you. I know that this isn't supposed to completely eliminate the traffic on Maumelle Boulevard, right?
No, sir.
Okay, but it should help is the idea, right?
Right. What it does is the adaptive traffic signals will actually communicate with one another, and right now they're just timing based. So basically, the light at Crystal Hill stays green for 3 minutes, and then they allow travel time to get to Counts Massey, and then it stays green for 3 minutes. But if you have left turning movements that add to that slug of traffic or platoon of traffic, whatever you want to call it, if you start adding cars in there, that travel time isn't made. So therefore, that's just a timing plan is what they have it. These are called synchronized or adaptive signals, so that they're recording the traffic going through there, and one traffic signal may communicate with the other one and say, stay green 20 seconds longer, and then, or let your left turn go now, or hold your left turn until this platoon of traffic gets through there. It's just like if a human being was sitting there looking at the traffic, making a judgment on it. The other advantage to this is if you have fog or anything and the traffic cameras will not work, it can go back and use history from Tuesday of last week. If it's Tuesday at the exact same time, can use history from that. So they're real adaptive, and they've got a computer, and they're using computer logic to do everything. It's moving the traffic signals into the 21st century is what it's doing.
That's what I was thinking, and in that case, I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 2014-23.
It's been motioned and seconded that the council approve resolution number 2014-23. Is there a discussion on that motion? Alderman Lewis.
Not on the motion. A couple more questions I have, but I share in the optimism that Alderman Norris has expressed. One question I had right off the top was, I know although these cameras are automated at their point of location where they're working, is there a central hub in which they are sometimes maintained, or if you have to log in to make any tweaks to the software or any diagnostics on them?
Yes, since they communicate with one another, they're going to be internet based, basically. So, and depending, I mean, we don't have a system that's picked out for this one. The consultants are going through their due diligence right now on this project. I have visited a system that's developed by Rhythm Engineering called InSync in Kansas City, Missouri. They can sit in Kansas City, Missouri, and look at any camera that they have operational. We would also have that capability. Pulaski County would have it on their signals. Pulaski County would have it. We would have it on ours. North Little Rock would have it on theirs to make any changes. And with Rhythm Engineering, there's a warranty period. They maintain it for 2 years to work out all the tweaks and everything to make sure that and the difference too is they can make the tweaks right there on a computer, where right now they have to come out to those cabinets and make those adjustments and physically do it. So that is an advantage to this system.
Looking at an estimated total cost project of $546,000, of which we are paying a portion of that for 6 traffic signals?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm following everything correctly.
Yes.
Now, that 546 is an estimate. Will there be a bidding process or anything within this?
Well, the consultants, MetroPlan has hired consultants to design the system, and so there will be a bidding process in that aspect of it. We've estimated the cost to be between $30,000 and $42,000 per intersection. That's how the 546 came up. It's $42,000. We took the high end on it, and so and different intersections are going to be different simply because if you have a 3-way intersection instead of a 4-way intersection, it's going to be cheaper. But we use the same figure for all of them. If you have PED crossings, it costs more because of the PED crossings have to be tied into the system. Pedestrian crossings, if you don't understand my terminology when I say PED crossings. But our portion would be 46.2% of the 20%, which is $50,450 is what that currently is. There's also, we don't know the engineering costs currently, but that could be between $20,000 and $30,000 for the entire project. So we would also be paying 20% of that, or 46% of the 20% of that also.
Ongoing with the maintenance of them, let's say 6 or 7 years from now, is each municipality under some sort of an agreement to continue to maintain these?
Well, we haven't worked that out completely yet, but the goal is hopefully the provider is the one that's going to provide that maintenance. You can pay them you're going to pay like you do on a software. You're going to pay them a subscription price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other examples of this type of system in Arkansas?
There's currently one at Shackelford Road. It's only 3 or 4 lights from Shackelford Crossing north to West Markham, and the new lights that are being placed at the new, what do they call it? The Big Rock. The Big Rock. Those will be brought into it. Also, Rogers has it on, I believe it's Walnut Avenue. Springdale has it on 71B through downtown Springdale. In Arkansas, that's the only 3 deployments that I'm aware of that they're at.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Saunders?
Thank you, Mayor. First, as you and a lot of people know, I've been promoting and pushing for synchronized lights for years, for several years. Yeah, I think it will do more for the traffic problem on the boulevard than most anything that we can do. It'll stop that accordion effect, and I want to compliment you for taking the ball and making this happen. All that being said, I do have a question. Maumelle is taking the lead, and in reading through all of this, it has a section called Maumelle's requirements or what we need to do. And item number 26, it says, quote, pay all unpaid claims for all materials, labels, supplies entered into contingent, da-da-da. Can you explain the meaning of that to me?
Well, somebody's going to have to sign the contract with the supplier. And so that's going to be Maumelle that's going to sign that contract. And basically, we're going to have to pay that. Now, the reason we're entering this interlocal agreement with the county of North Little Rock, part of their provision is they have to pay us their portion in order to be able to make those payments.
Okay.
So, somebody has to be, they don't want to have to bill 3 different jurisdictions is the problem that we're running into on this. They want the supplier, the ultimate contractor, he wants to deal with one agency. And that's where we're at.
Now, how are we going to handle this? And I don't claim to be an accountant, but how are we going to handle this? Are we going to set this up as a separate entity within our budget, or does this go into general fund and draw on? How are we?
It'd actually be coming out of street fund. It's where it's going to be coming out of. So, but we'll make sure we set up an accounting practice. We may not set up a separate checking account, but we can track the money as it comes in, and we can track the money as it goes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't see, what do we do if we're shy of money? Is there something built in here to cover us like a contingency?
If you heard my explanation earlier, I kind of built in a contingency in the estimate when I said the intersections were going to cost between $30,000 and $42,000. And here's the deal: if we take bids and it's $900,000, guess what? We're not going to do it. But so that's the deal. I'm not going to spend above what, the agreement has been made here with the council and with the county and with the city of North Little Rock unless we go back to those councils. Let's say it comes in $600,000 for whatever reason, then we would all have to go back to our respective councils in quorum court to request the additional monies before we sign the contract. There's not a contract signed to spend the $546,000. Right now, the only thing that's being worked on is there's a contract with MetroPlan. They're working out with the consultants. They're not only working on Maumelle, they're working in Conway, they're working in Little Rock, and some other city that's also doing this. This is not the only adaptive signal project that's been going on by these consultants that are working on this.
Okay. And we have to initially, now, this $500,000+ that we're talking about, that also includes the engineering development costs?
No, it does not. It does not. That's what I said was probably going to be an additional $20,000 to $30,000, but they're still working on the contract with the consultants right now. We don't know exactly what that's going to be.
And that comes out of the street fund?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's all.
As long as the devices are in the street right away, the street fund can be used.
Okay. Well, thank you again for all your hard work on this. So.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Mosley?
I think you pretty well answered all my questions there. I was, it's going to be about 50,000 our share after everything's said and done.
And then plus engineering, which.
Plus engineering.
Right.
And then it looked like we might be shelling out more than the 50,000, but we'll get money back from the other folks. So looks like we'll stay whole, and that's
right. Yeah,
good.
we're going to stay whole. I mean, and I tried to get out of the lead of this, but there's a problem when you start the project. Nobody else wants to take it over. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you on this.
Yeah.
That's good, thanks.
Alderman Johnson?
If I remember correctly, I think we heard an estimate at one time about $750,000. I'm just stunned that y'all got it down to this level, and that's $200,000 less than I remember us having a discussion at one of our budget meetings, I think, and it was estimated at $750,000.
Well, and part of it is the technology's cost is coming down. The cameras are coming down in price. So that's the good thing about technology. It changes every day, but it also gets cheaper as it goes into full production and more people use it. Okay, did I get a motion? I don't think I did, or did I? I don't. No.
Somebody did.
All right.
Alderman Norris made the motion.
Did he? Okay, I'm sorry.
I think so.
All right, I didn't write it down. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2014-23, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement.
That's seconded.
I think I got one. Yeah. All right. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Okay, next item is resolution number 2014-24, authorizing the purchase of the property. And now let me say something here. Actually, resolution number 2014-24 and 2014-25 address the same situation. So there's not a necessity to adopt both of these resolutions. You can adopt one or the other. So I'm going to let discussion go on, and then the council can choose to read resolution number 2014-24, or they can choose to read resolution 2014-25. So I know that's not normal, but Madam City Attorney and I discussed this also. Now, it's okay, too, if we do them in order and vote one up and one down. That's okay also. But I do have a couple of cards that want to address the fire station property. Would y'all like to hear from those before we go into any discussion?
Yes.
All right. The first one I have is from Ms. Rena Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Rena Peterson. I live at 109 Harmony Loop, and I'm here to just speak on how I feel about this situation with the fire station. First of all, my husband and I moved here in 2000, and we lived in the little red brick house behind Regions Bank. And so the property on the corner of Fontenay and Country Club Parkway, we knew that was commercial property. We knew that was going to be developed at some point. 2005, somebody wanted to build have a Japanese restaurant there, and we were in an uproar. So they decided, it ended up being a realty office building and then some small business buildings there. So we were okay with that. What I'd like to say right now is that it's 2014. Maumelle is a growing community. It's very progressive. We have a middle school. We have a high school. I know in the past there's been talk of the property over there across from Kroger that was the original land that was going to be used for the fire station. The kids used to play there, playing football, and I remember those days. But nowadays, we have to be aware of if there's green space around your home, it's not going to stay green space. That's called development, a progressive community. That's just life. That's life here in Maumelle. I've been there. I've experienced it. So that place is not being used as a football field anymore. We have middle school and high school. We have football fields. We have soccer fields. Things change. Change is growth. I live in Ward 2, so I'm letting my aldermen know how I feel about this. And I support the original location. With respect to everybody here that opposes that, where I lived on DeVille, we would have loved to have had a fire station in our backyard. There's nothing wrong with that. This is city property that we're talking about with the original land that we were going to put the fire station on. That was discussed years ago. I know a lot of people don't remember that or were told that. That's okay. But when you don't get involved with city council meetings, you're not going to know anything. You're not going to know a whole lot until it's in your back door. And then if you bark loud enough, maybe someone will listen. But the bottom line is that is city property. And to me, city property is to be provided for the people of Maumelle, all of the people, not just 40 or 50 people. So you guys are here to represent the citizens of Maumelle, and I'm just saying, please, remember this is city property that we have had all along, and it's ignorant for anyone to think that city property, commercial property, anything that is adjacent to your property is going to just stay green. That's just not where we're at right now. So, I really don't want us to spend any more money than we've already spent in the past. We spent $1.6 million on the parks on the river. How much is that worth now?
I don't know.
600-something thousand is the last quote I've heard. Our amphitheater was never developed like we wanted it to be. So it never became fruition. So my concern is the city council, are you here for just special interest groups, or are you here for the whole city? I want a fire station, and I want it now. I don't want us to just decide, well, let's think about it, let's table it, let's get some more areas, let's buy some more property. We don't have the money that you think we do have. This city we've got a budget, and we've got land. It's flat land. I don't know a whole lot of towns that build like below a dam. Is that a dam or a levee? I don't know. But I'd be very careful with that property. We have good land. It's citizens on Club Manor, if you go out your front door, you're going to see bright lights at that fire station if it's over there right below Lake Williston. If you go out your front door and that fire station is built on the original plat, you're not going to see it. So, anyway, my final say is let's be proactive and not reactive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Okay, and the other card I have is from the real estate agent that represents the seller, so I don't, Mr. Bingman, do you, okay.
Yeah, after that, I need to speak. Mark Bingman, live at 7 Chico Cove here in Maumelle. I'm first going to address as a citizen of Maumelle. I've built 3 houses in this city. I've lived here since 1982. So I know a little bit about the history. The current address that I'm at backs up to open space at Lake Williston. And at one time or another, there's been attempts to do away with some of that green space, do away with some of that open space, to do various things for the whole city, the residents of the whole city, for tennis courts or for whatever, frisbee, golf, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to say that there is a lot of property and a lot of residents in Maumelle that have built homes up to trees that they thought was open space or they thought would never be developed, but that wasn't the case. In my case, it was a case. It is city-owned property. It is open space. It is park space. It's not ever supposed to be developed. And I would think that in this day and age, with the reputation that Maumelle has, with the bike paths, with the trees, with the open space, with the family-oriented atmosphere, that any and all open space that we could keep and preserve for family reunions or picnics or a softball game would be to, continuing our reputation as a family-oriented community. So, as a resident of Maumelle, that's my pitch. As the realtor representing the sellers on this land, we can do whichever you want to do. We can. We've got it worked out with an arrangement. The land is actively being marketed at $3.50 a foot. As you know, anytime you buy something, there's always an asking price and a selling price. The sellers have agreed to come off of that asking price, if you want to buy all 6 acres, to $3.25. There is land that the Baptist own just down Club Manor. It's on the market for $4.50 a foot. There's other land that's 2 acres and 2.75 acres that's currently on the market for $4 a foot. Both of those don't have near the visibility or the retail type ability to do as this corner does at Club Manor and Odom. So is it prudent with the city money to buy all 6 acres? That's your decision. I think at a discount down to $3.25 for all 6 acres, when you're looking at land on the boulevard at 10 plus, when you're looking at more than that for any of the town center land, where there are high hopes for major development that may or may not happen for some time. I've been in this business a number of years. Maumelle just hasn't got the demographics yet to support some of those big boxes. So until we get of size, that's just not going to happen. That's the very reason, the price was the very reason why we don't have a Walmart in our city limits. The price difference was tremendous. So the point is, at this point, I think you have a very good opportunity to buy land at a below market rate that you could certainly take advantage of if you didn't want to develop all of it over a period of whatever time you want to use. You could certainly maybe sell for some of it for to get back some of the money that you're spending on buying all 6 acres. Let's not forget the fact that when you do build this second fire station, you've got a current, original, old fire station that could be sold or done something with. And it's a very marketable corner. Walgreens will only go on corners. There's a lot of retailers, there's a lot of developers that would love to have that very corner for future development that the city could sell and make back some of the money that they'd spend now to buy that 6 acres. So not only is there maybe excess land in the 6 acres currently, you don't know what you're going to build on it. You don't know what you could use for it down the road. But I can't imagine you ever getting land cheaper than what it is right now. And God only made so much land next to water. And that's one of the other selling points you've got there, is that you've, either a river, lake, pond, whatever, waterfront land is very limited in the United States. You got an opportunity to build something there very nice. Don't be hasty. Do it, put some thought into it and do what needs to be done in a timely, budgetary type fashion. If you don't want to do that, there's an agreement that you can buy the 1.3 acres, build the road. You're going to improve someone else's land, and they'll be able to take advantage of a higher per square foot rate for the smaller lots of an acre or more, and they're fine with that too. So the options at your feet, you can do whatever you want to do, and I'm here to answer any other questions or concerns you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Bingman. Alderman Norris.
I guess I'll get the ball rolling. The way I see it, how I kind of feel right now, is if we're going to decide to buy land, I think the better valued land is the full 6 acres. And it just seems like we would almost be paying twice the price for about 4 times the amount of land when you look at the costs and the cost to build that road. Roughly, those are very rough numbers, or at least that's my understanding. When we think about the strategic plan, it seems as though that would provide a little bit of that town center feel that we were looking for. So I think if we buy land, I'm in favor of the 6 acres. With regards to whether we buy land or put it on the private, on that open space, that's a tough question for me because I know the residents are here, and I can completely understand why they wouldn't want it. But on the other hand, I know that the vast majority of people that I've talked to over on my side of town are not overly concerned, and they would just rather keep their money, the city's money, in the bank account. So I'm really conflicted there and really could go, I'd probably just go with what everyone else goes with on that issue because it's so hard. Sometimes I feel like flipping a coin, but those are my thoughts.
Alderman Saunders.
Thank you, Mayor. Originally, we were talking about the land that we already own. Then, because of public comment and so forth, we decided we would explore other options, which we did. The first option was, 1.31 acres there by the Christian church, whatever that size is, lot number 4. And we decided that was the way to go. And then all of a sudden, we morphed in to talking about buying speculative investment land, okay? And it's based on assumptions. The assumption that we're getting a good deal, the assumption we're going to use it in the future, the assumption. We've lost track of our focus here. I am not at all in favor of buying 6 acres of land where we're going to use one corner and the rest of it is a speculative investment. Second of all, that speculative investment is money coming out of our reserve city funds. Okay? Now, think of this. We're talking about a fire station, 3 other lots. Those lots, by definition, are called excess land. Excess land is land, and the land for the fire department, lot number 4, if we go that direction, is what's commonly called the parent parcel. Excess land is other land adjacent or contiguous to the parent parcel that is not necessary for its use. Okay? So we're buying excess land. And I'm going to drive it home again. We're buying excess land because we think it's a good speculative investment. And we're basing it on assumptions that we can and will do something with it. I don't like taking that out of our reserve money, and I will have to vote no on 6 acres. I can go along with lot number 4. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Saunders. Alderman Johnson.
Just like to comment to that just a little bit. I think that if we buy 6 acres, that it ought to be laid out as the mayor presented 4 different lots. I mean, I would hate to go in there and destroy all 6 acres. It's just my comment as far as I'm for the 6.2 acres because I think the city's future would have tremendous use for it. I think some of the layouts showed other things for the city. We do not have, per se, a city center. We have this here, but some things need to happen over there on the 6 acres. And if not the 6 acres, hey, I think the best investment for the city would be Track D. But by the same token, we're not even in that class to talk about that probably. But that's just me. And I don't mind it a little speculation. A lot of people speculate all the time. Hey, cities speculate all the time. Didn't our founders of this city speculate? Yeah, they got some assistance, but they speculated. If we just close our eyes and say there's no reason to speculate, if it's good for the city, in the long run, that's what counts. If it's good for the city. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Alderman Johnson. Alderman Mosley?
All right, I'll weigh in. I first of all am in favor of locating the fire station other than the green space there that was proposed originally. So I think the proper place for it is Lot 4 based on the costs and everything you've looked at. I'm with Alderman Saunders, though, in that I just favor buying that one lot for this fire station. I think we ought to just take care of that. I hearken back to our budget period there around Christmas, which was extremely painful this year, where we had to beat up animal control and the senior center and everybody else for $1,000 here, $2,000 there, and so I hate to see us dip into reserves by $600,000 or $700,000 to go ahead and do the full thing. I'd rather keep that money in reserves in case over the next 2 or 3 years our revenue still is down. If we need to fully fund departments and things like that, I'd rather do it from that reserve. I think that would tide us over for a period of time and not have to cut people, cut services and things like that. So I'm going to say let's just go with the 1.31 acres, and that is $3 a square foot, and the other one, the full acreage was $3.25. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
But
so this one lot here is just $3 a square foot.
it is $3 a square foot, but we have to build a roadway.
Okay. All right. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mosley. Alderman Kelly?
Actually, I'm going to ask a question to the end user. I haven't done this before. Interim Chief Payne, can you tell me if either one of these lots make more tactical sense than the other?
There was a lot of time and effort put into the design phase that helped where it was at the original location to try to minimize the impact of the fire department with noise pollution, light pollution, and all that sort of things. The across the street, no further distance than that is also quite frankly the main avenues to get to Odom Boulevard and to go further into the city on the north side. Realistically, tactically wise, there's probably not that much. Anytime you're on either side of that street, the call could be on the other side of the street, and you're going to have to transverse those intersections one way or another. So realistically, I don't think there is a tactical preference from the. I don't have one from the fire department, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Payne. Thank you, Alderman Kelly. Alderman Hogue?
If we bought the 6 acres, we'd have to build a road, and it would be the very same road that we're going to build if we buy the 1.3 acres. Is that correct?
We would build a road. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same road. Necessarily, if you own all the property, you might could do something different, change it up or something like that.
We would expect the cash outlay to be somewhere near the same?
Yes.
Then, I really like the idea of 6 acres, but I do not like the idea of spending $3.25 a square foot for 6 acres and $3 for the 1 point whatever. But we're going to have to build the road anyway, regardless of whether we bought all of it or whether we just bought 1.3. So I'm just kind of like Alderman Norris. I'm just kind of in a, I don't know.
Well, now, and what you'll do is if we build the roadway, we would improve 4 acres of land for somebody else, and I was the same way. I was saying let's just buy the 1.31 acres. But the more I thought about, if we're putting the investment in the road in there, then why don't we get that investment back?
So what I really would like to have seen was to be able to buy the 6 point whatever acres at $3 a square foot.
Well, and that was the offer I made. That was the offer I made, and they came back at 3.25.
Let me address that.
Are we still in negotiation?
No, we're not. The prices are set to what the seller is willing to sell. The further discount is because they appreciate the fact that you're having the expense of $200,000 plus for the road. So with that consideration, they're giving a further discount of another 25 cents a foot. So that's the reason there's a further discount.
And then do you have any idea what it's going to sell for after we get the road?
I can speculate.
Would you do that for me? I think that I would be in the 6 acre column.
Yeah.
Alderman Lewis.
There's a lot of information out there, and one thing I want to address right now is I had gotten one question, and it came up again this evening about the logistics of building any sort of improvement on land that is adjacent to Lake Willistine in terms of the dam or there's a spillway there. There's not really a dam, and then there's a levee, if you will, that holds back the lake. And Mayor Watson and I had a discussion, and so we just sort of brainstormed about all of the different scenarios. And any scenario where you would have some difficulty with that is almost going to be a very slow thing that you would catch with time and be able to mitigate. The only things that could happen that would be sort of unforeseen and cause a cataclysmic series of events would be terrorism and perhaps an earthquake. And, can't predict everything. I mean, I think we're going to have a city that's going to have a lot of problems if we entertain that aspect. So I dismiss that. This whole debate on whether we go 6 acres or this acre and a third, and it is, I think the backstory is interesting on how we got here. And I think it's wonderful that now we have a solution that, what's the total, sir, on the 1.3 acres, on the square footage, or the price per square foot? But if we buy the whole thing, I was digging through my packet and I was never could find it.
185.
185.
And that's from memory.
And so based on, and some of it is contingency funds, based on what we have in the bond,
right,
to allocate is, what, 170 for the land?
We had a 10% contingency, so it's about $200,000. Right.
So we may not end up having to spend anything from our reserves in order to buy that 1.3. So, again, while I respect the need that we might want to consider using land that we have in our own possession as being smart, when you have taxpayers that have approved this already and you don't have to dip into your fund, why on earth did we not consider it? And so we have, and we've gotten here, and kind of like we did on the recycling issue where we all kind of disagreed on nuances within that, we ended up stumbling into a better solution in the end that was even more equitable, and that worked out very well. And so here we are, 6 acres, 1.3. I'm reminded of that old Aesop's fable about the miser who had the piece of gold that he buried in the ground, and he protected it every day and made sure that no one came and got it. And finally someone came and stole his gold, and he was so upset about it. And a fellow neighbor came along and they said, well, why don't you just bury a piece of stone in the ground? It'll have the same value to you. We have a city reserve after we have purchased this truck that we heard about earlier that's going to be in the ballpark of $5.25 million, $5.25 million, roughly, approximately. And you can keep that money in the bank on a savings account interest, if we even make that. Any smart investor will tell you that's not a real bright thing to do with your money. And so here is an opportunity, and some things in life are speculative. I married my wife. It was a speculative move. It turned out real well. But we have, in our search, and the mayor has done a very diligent job on looking at alternative properties. And I sat down with the mayor, Alicia Gillen, and Pat Smith, who are all here this evening, and we looked at the different prices per square foot. And gee whiz, we're almost 50% under on this property compared to every other. Track D, $12 a square foot. You've got developments in Country Club of Arkansas that are $8.53 a square foot. So here we are looking at $3.25 a square foot on a property that can enable us to go in so many different directions based on the Maumelle Forward Strategic Plan. Item number 8 in here, creating city centers of activity that give the city an address. We may not end up using this land to build the Shangri-La that I designed a few weeks ago and am still discussing. But nevertheless, we have a senior center that is going to need a location. We have other facilities that may need to utilize this. We're in a building right now that was not designed to be a city hall. It has enormous headaches. Our HR director can't get to somebody else's office without walking outside. He's got to come over here to use the bathroom. So There,
That's not true anymore.
Did we get it fixed finally? Hallelujah. He couldn't last year.
You're right. He couldn't. It's fixed.
Mike Watson, solving the plumbing problems. Good job.
No, Jack Stowe did that. I'll give
Way to
you
go,
credit.
Jack. And so, my advice is, don't sit here and make the same mistake I think we've often made as a city in the past, which is solving the problem that is 2 feet in front of you and not thinking about the needs, the wants, the growth of this city 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now. That's what this plan was for. Heavens, if you voted for this plan and you don't think that this is the right investment, then where do you want to invest? Where do you want to grow? How do we grow landmarks in this city without land? At least land that is in a visible spot. And so here we are. And I talked to some business owners the other night that have opened up offices that are in the vicinity of this, and they had actually looked at this property before, and they wanted to buy sections of it. Well, the property owner at the time wouldn't necessarily subdivide. Gee whiz, here comes the city of Maumelle. We can build a road in there. We'll make it more accessible for you. So if we buy this 1.3, I'm sure Mr. Bingman and his parties that he represents are going to say, gee, thank you very much for building that road for us. Now we will reap the benefits from that. So even if we don't use this property to improve upon, heavens, let's use it as an investment that is going to be far better than the rate of return that we've got of a $5.25 million reserve. And we're not in the real estate business, I agree, but we are in the business of growing this city and making economic decisions that impact us accordingly. So I implore you, think about this, because if you believed in that plan, where do you want to go? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lewis. Alderman Norris.
What was the estimated cost of building the road?
$200,000.
About $200,000. And what was the cost at $3 per square foot for 1.31 acres?
171. I just looked that up. It's 171 and some change. Now I got to look it up again.
So the proposal was to buy that land for $171,000?
There is a proposal right now at that.
The 1.31 acres?
Yes.
For some reason, I thought it was higher than that. I guess my question is, and I wish I would have thought about this before the meeting, is if we tack on the estimated cost of building a road and add that price to the purchase price of both of the different options, do we have any idea how much we're paying per square foot? I was trying to do it on my calculator, but
Don't forget to subtract the bond potential, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the bond potential would be on both options, that same amount.
But that 855 goes down to 6 something.
Yeah.
So, wait, but...
it's okay.
I guess my question on the 1.31 acres isn't how much comes out of general fund, it was how much we pay for the property. Okay. If it's 131, is that 131 minus the 168 that comes from bond? Or is that added back in?
Hang on just a second.
I don't know how many acres are in or how many square feet are in an acre. So
43560.
Well,
now this is going to be rough numbers, but okay. Oh no, something didn't happen right. All right, hang on. 71,204.
Getting cold.
Plus 200,000. $650 a square foot with the road and the land at $3 a square foot.
I'm sorry, what?
$650 a square foot, roughly.
On
just the 1.31 acres with the road cost added to it.
Okay.
All right, hang on. $4.01. per square foot.
And that's for the
That's
six.
for the entire 6 acres and building the roadway. And the reason is you've got 4 times as much square foot. That's what drives the price down.
You're not buying the land that the road's going to sit on either.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was expecting, is that the cost of the road is a smaller percentage of the 6 acre price than it would be for the.
Of course it is, because it's more than the price of the. It's a 1-to-1 ratio basically. If you buy the 1.3, and if you buy the entire area, it's 1/4 of that cost.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. I completely understand what Alderman Saunders is saying with speculation, and I mean, hypothetically, the city could buy the full 6 acres, use one lot for the fire department, and I don't even want to suggest something, but they can make the rest all green space, or I'm not saying that we should, or something like that. But what I'm saying is, it's going to have some sort of use. I don't know. That's all I have.
Okay, I don't know which light came on first. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Question I have is, I understand this is highly speculative, but how much of the money would come out of reserves if we bought the whole 6 acres and built the road? Because the road can come out of the road fund.
Right.
And if I'm correct, Lot 4 can be paid for with a bond. Is that correct?
That's correct. Now, there's always the fear that if the bid for the fire station, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, if the bid for the fire station comes in higher than we anticipate, which is also an estimate, I mean, we might have to come back and ask for some additional funds because we're using some of our contingency to purchase the land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Building contingency.
So I just want that, fully understood. That
As it is right now, how much would come out of reserves?
669, 612.
Okay.
$669,612.
For the 6 acres.
Yes.
Or $300,000 for the corner lot with the road.
Not the corner lot, lot 4.
I mean, lot 4.
For lot 4, how much comes out? Reserves.
Well, $200,000 will come out of the street fund reserve. So I want to be real careful on that. But nothing would come out unless the fire station bids are excessive or high,
Okay.
higher than we estimated.
Okay.
And if we keep going, then maybe. I don't know. I'm just. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Did you get your question, Alderman Norris?
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Johnson?
I move we approve resolution number 2041-24.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we approve resolution number 2014-24. Is there any discussion on that motion? Alderman Lewis?
I have a question for Mr. Bingman. Mr. Bingman, do you recall the initial purchase price of that 6 acres, sir?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I don't know that that's relevant, but
My point is this, I suppose, and we had discussed it. I think we had that figure at some point, Mr. Mayor. And it's okay. You've been digging plenty of stuff up. But my point is this: is that this notion of highly speculative, it kind of tickles me because these owners bought this property in 2004. We have gone through one of the worst recessions in this country's history. Now, granted, the dollar could bottom out and we could go into economic chaos, and in which case we've all got bigger problems. But in 10 years, through the worst recession, your client will still be making a profit off of this land, right?
no.
No? How is that possible?
You've got the carried interest.
Okay.
It's 2004.
And taxes.
Not to mention, let's go back and understand, they bought this land to build an assisted living,
Okay.
independent living facility on it. And the reason why
Sure, and I'm familiar with some of that.
is that they couldn't get
Health Department.
help from the city on the maintenance program that would be required to inspect and
Right.
ensure the dam.
Right.
So your comments earlier about, catastrophic and if there was an earthquake and so on and so forth, that dam is the city's. Regardless of who or what is built there, they're going to be responsible for maintaining
Right.
that dam.
And we do. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we had a motion to approve, but I'm gonna turn that into a motion to read, if that's okay, Alderman Johnson, because we hadn't read that yet, because we were asking for a motion, and will your second hold, Alderman Lewis?
To read?
Yes, sir.
To read, yes,
Yes.
to read that one. Okay, so Megan, if you'd read Resolution 2014-24, and then we'll get into some more discussion. I've got lights still on, so.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas. A resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2014-24. A resolution authorizing the purchase of property, namely a parcel consisting of approximately 6.4 acres on Club Manor Drive in the City of Maumelle and for other purposes.
Okay. Is there any discussion on, well, no. Is there, I've got more lights on. Alderman Norris?
I have a question for Alderman Saunders because I'm trying to understand. You said that it was speculative and there's a definite negative connotation on that. It sounds like you're more knowledgeable about land purchases than I am. Why is that a bad thing, or why is that something that should make me lean one way as opposed to the other?
As city councilman, I think that our responsibility is to use our citizens' money wisely. Speculation is just that. It is speculation. It's not something that you're sure of. You're just taking a chance. People speculate when they go to Las Vegas, and I do understand that speculation can be a good thing. But I'm not sure it's appropriate or a wise use of our citizens' money for us to go out and speculate on land. We already have other land. We talk about a senior citizen center. There's land over by the middle school. Okay? We own other lands here in Maumelle. Why do we need to start purchasing more in the hopes, that's speculation, in the hopes that someday we can make more out of it? We don't know what the economy, we may go into another worse depression. Who knows? We're speculating. Does that, you see what I'm saying about speculation? We don't know. We're gambling.
I'll point out one thing. The city purchased 640 acres in 2000, and that is where the ballparks are now, the baseball field and the softball field. Very big speculation when they bought 640. Now, I will tell you 400 of it or so was wetlands. But they got that for $0. The wetlands were donated if they bought the rest of the land. So I don't remember the exact amount of usable land in that. But then there was land that they turned into city parks based on that. So, was that a good idea at the time or not?
I have a follow-up question, if that's all right. I've always thought of speculation in terms of trying to either flip the property or the commodity or the whatever it is for a higher profit. But if we're not trying to do that with this land, but that is an option, are you still saying it's a bad idea to buy it, to I guess to make the option open to us in the future to use the land? Does that make sense?
To make the option open to us in the future is speculating.
Speculating that it will have a use later.
That it'll have a use, it'll even be desirable later. We don't know what we're getting into. That's the art of speculation.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, gentlemen. Alderman Mosley?
Mr. Bingaman talked about the property owner having to shoulder several years of taxes and interest and that sort of thing. Will we be paying taxes on that land?
We will not. No, sir.
Is a municipality excluded?
They're excluded of paying property taxes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's interesting to know. Yes, speculation. I mean, everything's. If there's a free market for it, you can't guarantee the price is going to go up or down. I deal in natural gas commodities, and it's anybody's guess. But my guess has been better than others, fortunately, up to this point. But if you have to look at it, how much can you afford to risk? I mean, we've got a lot of land, as Ken said. I think there's some property on Maumelle Boulevard even. Is that correct? Do we have some down there by First Security Bank? Have I heard that? I don't even know what all we've got.
No, sir.
No? Okay. But anyway, I'm not going to get any further into that. I just think in this case we ought to just go with this smaller property and be done with it.
Okay. Alderman Anderson?
Yeah, I want to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2014-24.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-24. Is there any more discussion on that item? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
6-2 is what I count. Okay. Resolution passes. There is no need to read or deal with resolution number 2014-25, as that would be repurchasing land that we just committed to purchase.
Sell it to ourselves.
Now, the next item is resolution number 2014-26, amending the 2014 general fund budget. Megan, if you'd read that by title only, please.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, Pulaski County, Arkansas. Resolution number 2014-26. A resolution to amend the 2014 general fund budget.
Okay, this is the budget that would have to be amended to purchase the entire 6 acres, 6.04 acres. And as it states in here, the total cost to purchase the land is $855,083. The general fund will pay a total of $669,612. The remainder of the $185,471 will be paid with bond proceeds held with the trustee.
And we approve resolution 2014-26.
Second.
It's been motioned second that the council approve resolution number 2014-26. Is there a discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
6-2 again, I believe. Is that correct? Okay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item is resolution number 2014-15, approving a conditional use permit. This is the original conditional use permit that was set to allow the fire station to be constructed on the open space property directly south of the Kroger store. I would take a motion that we table this item.
I make that motion that we table resolution 2014-15.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded that the council table resolution number 2014-15, approving a conditional use permit. Is there a discussion on that motion? All right.
That was for the motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no discussion, all those in favor of tabling resolution 2014-15, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. And the next item is third reading of ordinance number 846, amending a master street plan. It's the same issue. It's amending the master street plan to allow a right-of-way entry off of Odom Boulevard into the open space property that was south of Odom, south of the Kroger store. Alderman Lewis.
I make a motion that we table ordinance number 846.
I second that.
We have a motion to table ordinance number 846. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes to table. Next item, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Alderman Lewis.
I just wanted to say one thing. I appreciate the patience of our fire department in particular, because I know that this has been a little bit of a stormy kind of time when you gentlemen, I know, have certain priorities and needs for the department, and there was a little bit of a delay, but we appreciate your sticking with us on this, and we look forward to seeing the opening of Substation 2. So, thank you.
We should buy a fire truck for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Just, I think we did. It was a good night for fire, wasn't it?
Will the fire station be ready by September when the truck?
We have a place to put the truck, even without the fire station. As long as we sell the other one, I guess, right? Maybe that's what we got to do first. But
We'll have a for sale sign on the front.
oh yeah. All right. The next item is the hiring notification regarding a department head family member. This was done last year. Mr. Philip Rayburn is the Parks and Rec director, and his daughter Shelby is going to work at the pool. And the resolution reads basically that the mayor shall notify the city council of the hiring decision when a person that's related by blood or marriage to the director of the department is employed. Now, the only way she can be employed is if it's part-time and seasonal. She cannot be a full-time employee, so she's going to be on the pool staff. We did this exactly same thing last year, and the council doesn't have to do anything. It's just I'm following the resolution as it was stated. And we have not put her on the payroll as yet, but I wanted to notify y'all before we did. So, all right. And next item is the PWA memo from City Attorney Davis. You have a large document in your packet that has been referenced earlier in the meeting. There is no action that's required on this item, and Alderman Mosley had actually asked for an opinion from Madam City Attorney, and then had also done some of his own research. And so, and the only reason I'm putting them two together is they're piggybacking on each other basically. Alderman Mosley also has a memo that has some research that he's done also. It has some items in there. He had requested an ordinance be done similar to the ordinance that was done in 1995, to where the council had the oversight of the rates for Maumelle Water Management, and asked for that to be done also on the Public Water Authority. Madam City Attorney thinks that we don't have that authority to do that, to regulate the water and sewer rates that are set by the PWA, as she doesn't think we have those authorities right now to govern the ones done by MWA legally. And that ordinance was passed in 95, but it's never been tested in a court. So that's the basis for that. I mean, you'll hear all the time that somebody says the law is good until it's tested in court, basically, and so that's what that's referring to. I don't know if Madam City Attorney, she's mentioned some of it. I don't know if she wants to weigh in on this item any more than asking you to read her opinion and then come up with questions. And Alderman Mosley had expressed earlier, it might be easier to do that when she's actually sitting here, so you can hear better or something like that. So we can have these both on the agenda at the next meeting also, if that's okay. If y'all want to do that, I'm saying.
That's fine with me. And you gave a great summary there too. That's very good. I hadn't heard from Ms. Davis till Thursday, and I got copies of her stuff. I've probably read it 3 or 4 times because I'm not used to reading legal opinions and things like that, and your head swirls a little bit. But I'm not sure. I want to visit with her a little bit more, just to see how sure she is one way or the other. To find out maybe if we should ask for an Attorney General's opinion. I don't want to do that if it's totally clear that we don't have authority, and I don't want to waste our time, her time, the Attorney General's time, or anything like that. But I'll visit with her a little bit more here. Like I said, I just heard back from her here on Thursday, and I've been trying to digest her notes over the weekend. And again, my whole thing is we have check and balance in place. I have a lot of residents in my ward that are interested in MWM and would like to see the city be involved as much as possible, and so that's all I'm doing, is trying to see if we can keep it there. If we can keep it there, then we'll find out if we want to go there or not. So anyway, we'll revisit it next week then, or next time.
And I do want to point out, the PWA has not even been stood up by the group yet. ANRC hadn't blessed it, and so we're not under there's not a definite date. I mean, they may do it in July. They may do it in June. I don't know. But even after it stood up, if you feel like that you want to still propose an ordinance, there's nothing that precludes you from doing that after they're stood up either. So, so go ahead.
For some reason, it's challenging for me to hear Alderman Mosley. I don't know if it's my phone connection or his distance from where the phone is placed. But I'll be happy to sit down and speak with him. I think any lawyer will tell you if you put, two lawyers in a room and ask them for an opinion, you probably you have a pretty good chance of getting two different opinions. That's what we do for a living. But I can tell you, I'm very firm in my opinion that I've given you in this memo based on the information that I've gained, not just from Mr. Hankins, not just from the General Counsel at the Natural Resources, but also from the Attorney General's opinion. When you have an Attorney General opinion really that addresses this issue directly as we've had it so far anyway, and says it's not clear, it needs legislative clarification. Again, I'm as sure as I think they're going to be. I can't imagine anything that's going to change my opinion on this. I feel like presenting an ordinance at this stage was premature, number one, because the law report has not been approved yet, and also that it was, useless by the council, because I think it implies the council seems to believe that there's some legal authority, and I think that by doing that and adopting such a ordinance, not only does the city set itself up for potential problems, but potential legal problems as well. I can certainly see not only the proponents of the PWA considering a suit against the city for trying to go outside of its authorized powers under the code, but also from the Natural Resources Commission in light of their position that the city doesn't have this authority. So I don't think that this is a wise thing to undertake. I never have and never will discourage someone from seeking another opinion from another. But I think that the more opinions of, the more different opinions you're going to get, and the council's going to have to make a decision one way or the other. But it's my very best opinion to you that this memo is fully thought through and written, and that going further with it, I think, would be a misstep for the council.
Thank you again for all your hard work, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Janan. We appreciate your diligence in listening to our long meeting here also. So. Alderman Norris.
My comment was just going to be that I've had a chance to glance at the city attorney's opinion. It seemed very thorough. I would encourage anyone that had questions on the council to go directly to the city attorney. Just unless there's some sort of action before the city council, I think we just keep talking about things, and I think there might be a better way of going about that. So I'd encourage anyone that has questions just to take that up with the city attorney.
I agree. Thank you.
Alderman Lewis.
Yeah, I agree with that point as well, Alderman Norris. And for us to keep having this as a discussion topic, I don't see as getting us anywhere. If Alderman Mosley, if you wish to bring forward an ordinance asking for that price regulation again, then certainly I would encourage you to do so. But this sort of drip, 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 approach here of kind of going after this, it's, starting to feel like Don Quixote chasing a windmill here. And so that would be what I'd say, is that if we do have this on the agenda again, I would hope it would be in the form of an ordinance.
I'll bring my lance with me next
time. Be a good prop.
I'm trying to stand up for the residents of this community, Mr. Lewis.
As am I, Alderman Mosley.
So I'm going through this. This is just I'm going to do it, okay? And I don't know how it's going to come out, but I will. I'll go until I'm convinced that there's not something we can do. So, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. If there's no other action there, I want to move on to mayor's comments. First item is the bond project survey results to date, and I put that very carefully, results to date. This is as of this morning. I passed out at everybody's desk a bond project survey, basically. We had 760 of them returned as of this morning. We sent out 7,720 surveys. That's 9.84% that were returned to us. 10% is what you normally get back in a survey like this, so we're right on that number. I think the last time we did this, we got somewhere around 15% back or something like that, but we're a little bit larger now, and people may be a little bit busier since 2004, I believe, so 10 years have passed. I will tell you that the overpasses just basically they're in below 16% yeses, and they're in the 73% above on no's, and the none is if they didn't check anything on the box. We had to add another column there for none, and that was in the 10% range of the people that didn't do that. So I'm just going through these real quick. And then the city hall renovation, it was a 54.7% yes and a 39.87% no and a 5% none. The event center renovation one was 23% yes, 73% no, almost 4% none. The event center phase 2 renovation was 17.5% yes, 78.7% no, and 3.82% none. The Senior Wellness Center had a yes vote of 50.39 and a no of 45.39 and a none of 4.21%. The Indoor Aquatic Center had a 40% yes, a 56% no, a 4% none. Interestingly, would you pay an annual membership fee? It was $300 to $400. It was 21% yes, 74% no, and 6% none. Would you support a 1/4 cent sales tax increase to help fund the operation and maintenance budget of this facility? Was a 31% yes, a 64% no, and 5% none. That was interesting to me that they supported a sales tax increase more than they did a membership fee. That was one that was interesting to me. The Diamond Center T-ball fields and softball fields, it was a 51.84% yes, a 42.63% no, 5.5% none. And then, are you a registered voter in Maumelle? And it's 87% yes, 10% no, and 4% did not answer that question. I will tell you that one survey that I saw came in from Roland. They actually listed their address. So, I don't know. And then we had numerous comments on the other thing. And so what we're going to do for the council is just basically put it in a Word document where you can see every comment that comes in. These are as of about 10 o'clock this morning, Courtney, right? These are the numbers we got at 10 o'clock. We've still gotten a couple more in. The deadline was Friday to turn them in, but the mail may be delayed a few days, so we want to give you a better number later. And so what I plan to do is give you this same document with updated numbers and the comments section for your next meeting. But what I want you to remember is, because the next item under this is the bond projects calendar, we need to get the ordinance drafted and moving forward no later than the second meeting in July if you want to keep this on the election cycle for the general election. And that's if you choose to go forward with any of the projects. You've surveyed the people. 3 of them got a positive response as far as yes votes. 3 of the projects did, which was the City Hall project, the Senior Wellness Center, and the baseball fields. Very small margin, over 50% on most of those projects, though. So I just want to point that out. But that's your 3 options right now that had a favorable vote. That's not to say that you don't take one of the other ones also, if the council so chooses. That's just your survey information from the citizens that turned in the surveys.
And non-citizens.
One.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. At least one. Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's one of those things that you're putting them in, and who knows? Maybe they're moving to Maumelle. I don't know. They didn't put anything like that, but maybe their current address is there. Alderman Johnson.
One that got me a little bit was the fact that the response to a sales tax and everything for the center, the Aqua Center or whatever you call it, and that sort of got me a little bit that people wouldn't be willing to put that into the plan.
Okay, Alderman Lewis.
And I don't want to get in a big discussion tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to Courtney for everything she has done in compiling this in such an expeditious fashion. In fact, she was even out for a week, and I imagine had a very busy morning.
Well, no. Jack Stowe worked on it last week. So.
I'm always giving false credit. I feel bad. But Courtney, she was big on the early going on it.
She did it the first week the survey was going on, and Jack did it last week, and now Courtney's taking it back over. But I didn't want – I went to Jack the week before and said, Jack, Courtney's going to be gone. We got to have these results in. And Jack graciously agreed to do that. And so, in fact, I believe the compliment this morning from the gentleman who works at ULR that helped us put this together said that Jack was a busy person on Friday. So I think he keyed in about 140 surveys on Friday. So a bunch came in on the last day.
That's 2 or 3 times I've snubbed Jack on thanks on stuff. I got to make it up to him.
Well, I have 2 staff members. It's Courtney and Jack.
That's true.
So if I can't get to something, they're going to catch it. So
I always talk to Courtney when I call, though. So I don't know.
Yeah, I understand.
I got to start calling Jack and getting him to route the calls through.
No, he doesn't do that.
Oh.
He doesn't answer the phone. All right, but they've both done a great job on keeping up to date on this. Next item that I have is the Parking and Traffic Committee meeting. Don't forget that's May the 29th at 6 p.m. And you all are supposed to be here since y'all pointed it out. Who?
So we did figure out that
it touches every ward. Yes. So if you can be here, we need you here because the stop sign that's over on Arnold Palmer and Barber takes in Ward 1 and Ward 3, and then the Ridgeland Drive intersection that Alderman Hogue wanted to discuss. No, you wanted Diamond Point.
I want to include Diamond
Point. And so they're both going to be on there, so there's going to be an ad in Wednesday's paper. But we've actually put a sign out on Arnold Palmer, and it's generating a lot of interest with... So far, no's, but I'll just say that it's generating some interest right now. But when that's the meeting.
All right, I got a coin. Do we want to flip on who gets to go first?
Wait, for what?
On what?
Well, we could discuss the issue on Palmer first, and we could go home early.
I understood.
I'm in favor of arm wrestling.
For the entire
yeah, we did get there first, didn't we?
Yeah, I think they're.
Yeah, that was the one that drove the meeting, so that'll be the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. Way to go, Steve.
Way to go.
Okay. All right. So don't forget May the 29th. That's still almost a week. It's a little over a week away, but we'll send you a reminder out too on that by email. The next item is Maumelle Boulevard Overlay Project. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but the Highway Department is about to start the overlay project for Maumelle Boulevard from Interstate 430 to Murphy Drive. So that entire roadway is going to be overlaid. Cranford Construction is going to be doing the project. They're going to do the majority of the work at night because they were only going to allow them to work from 9 to 3 during the daytime. So they're going to do it at night. So they will mill one night. Milling is where they grind the asphalt down. They'll grind it down almost 2 inches, and then the next day they'll come in and put a 2 inches overlay on top of that where they've milled it down. And so, I mean, you're going to drive on a milled section, and then the next day it's going to be paved. Now, the problem is they're going to mill this section, they're going to move on right the next night and mill this section. So you're always going to be driving on a milled section and a freshly overlaid section and an old section until they complete the project. So we're not sure, but they're probably going to start at 4:30 currently. That's kind of the plan. And they should start in 2 to 3 weeks on that project. Alderman Lewis?
I just wanted to say if we could remind them somewhere in there about those new little lane markers that we've got that are so cool. I don't want to lose those. So
They're
make sure
gonna-
they
they're
hold
gonna-
on to them.
They're going to come back and put them back.
Great.
So they'll
Those
have to put
things
them
are-
back because the road in that area won't be milled, so they'll have to go up 2 inches right
Go out there on a clear night and you're on the other side of the boulevard. If your lights hit over there, it looks like an airport runway over there.
Yeah.
It is really
Yeah,
neat.
but no, those will be replaced. Not, I don't think as a part of this project, but they'll come back and replace those.
Great.
Alderman Norris?
Is this scheduled to be completed in a quicker fashion than the walking path?
Good question.
Scheduled. I know there might be
6 weeks, I think, is the construction period on this one.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes, so it's a whole lot different process. And I will tell you, since you brought it up, they're paving the pathway tomorrow.
Oh, good.
We walked it today with the asphalt contractor, and they're paving it tomorrow. Then the handicap ramps will have to be done, and then the handrails will have to be put up. But they're getting very close to finishing that project. Yeah. And nobody wants it finished any more than I do. I promise you that.
He's out there today wearing a vest.
It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to.
Oh, sure.
The next item I have is the MEMS reduction in support cost. There's a letter in your packet. Basically, the Medicaid, I forget which one's which, Medicaid, I believe. They went ahead and left the rates in for the ambulance. And, Medicare rates. I'm sorry. It was Medicare rates. And so that saved the city about $6,946 annually. So this year we'll save $6,946. We'd appropriated the $86,767, and it should be $79,821. So there's $6,000 in savings if the fire truck goes up, $6,000. And then I left off 2 items, but I want to remind you the Memorial Day ceremony is May the 26th at 10 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial at Lake Willistine. So May the 26th, that's a Monday. You're off work. Should be off work, most of you. And Colonel Robert Robert Ader, he is the new commander of the 189th Wing at the Little Rock Air Force Base, is going to be our guest speaker on that. And then the other thing, I'll steal Alderman Hoag's glory here, Annexation Task Force Workshop tomorrow night at 5 p.m., Tuesday, May the 20th. And Bill Spivey's going to be there to help walk through some bond issues on the possible sewer project to the Morgan area. So if you can be there, it might be interesting for you.
And I would note that it is going to be a workshop rather than a task force meeting. We do not anticipate taking public comments while we're working.
Okay, that's all that I have. Planning Commission report will be done at the next meeting. Alderman's comments? Alderman Norris?
First question is, when do we get the final draft of the survey?
You will get it at the next meeting for sure, but if the surveys kind of wind down, I can email that to you. Yeah, yeah, and yeah.
I would like to have it before the next meeting if there's...
Okay, yeah, no, it would be in the agenda. The problem was they weren't even due in until the Friday, and so the agenda went out Thursday, so we couldn't have the final numbers in there. And I don't even think these are final numbers. I think you're going to see some 10 or 12 trickle in, maybe something like that.
Okay, thank you.
So it'd be in the agenda along with the comments.
The second thing I was going to just remind everyone is tomorrow's election day for primaries, so get out and vote. That's all.
Okay, thank you. The crazy thing is I've already voted, and then Saturday my mailbox filled up with all these cards, vote for this person. It's like, I'm a little late, I've already voted. Alderman Mosley?
Yeah, just a real quick question. I noticed on the bond calendar here, how do we do the bond counsel and the underwriter? Do we bid that out if we end up going through with the bond thing?
It's RFQ is how we do that. We do a request for qualifications. It's not bid out. It's a request for qualifications, and you select them based on their experience, and then you negotiate a fee with them. Okay. So it's not bid. You don't bid professional services. You don't bid engineers, architects, appraisers, surveyors, bond counsel, underwriters.
Okay, so that we could be dealing with Cruz and Associates or anybody that qualifies.
That submitted a RFQ. And we go out for RFQs every January for professional services.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
for elaborating.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Alderman Johnson?
Just asking for a update on Edgewood. I noticed we were out working on it and everything like that, and it's.
Yeah, Edgewood, what we're doing right now is we're milling the bumps. That's the milling process, and that's our equipment that you see out there on the side of the roadway. It has not been bid yet. The highway department's going to actually bid that job also as part of the street aid fund. And that's probably going to be bid later this summer, and then they'll do it this fall. It's probably when they're going to do it. But we've got to get out there and get it done so that we don't hold them up. And basically, we're trying to do it when we have some free time and not dealing with some other issues and things like that. And so they've already done a portion of Millwood up toward Majestic Point. They did that a few weeks back, a month or so back, and now they're working on Edgewood. But the goal is to have those done. And what we found is if we mill that, put in an inch or an inch and a half of asphalt now, that the crack won't come through, that bump that you feel, it won't come through as fast as it does if you just do a 2-inch overlay over the top of it. So that's what we did, a test pattern down on the Methodist Church last year and did 10 test sections and tried different solutions to the foundation of the roadway, and we found that worked just as effectively, and so it's a lot quicker. We actually dug all the way down 6 inches or so and then put back in concrete and then put asphalt over that, which is a lot longer process, more expensive, but this is doing just as well of milling and then putting the asphalt on. Alderman Lewis?
I had noticed that Mrs. Green was here this evening, and I just thought for the council's purpose, if you could give us an update on the drainage situation with Barber Cove and where things stand.
I sent Ms. Green an email on Friday. Basically, the surveys have been completed, and the engineers are now modeling the system. The engineers that did the pathway are actually the engineers that were also on working on the drainage project, and we talked about it a little bit today. He's actually working on the model as we speak right now. There's a question. It looks like we're probably going to have to enlarge some pipes that are directly east of Miss Green's property that then go over to Club Manor. And so the question is, do you tear out the existing pipe and put a new pipe in place, or do you do a parallel pipe to that pipe? Do we have room to do that? What does that do? And they also still feel like that we have to do the detention basins also. Okay. So
when do we anticipate the next update from?
I will be out of town on Wednesday, but I hope to have some information by Wednesday. He was hoping he would have something now. He said it's going to depend on the results he get, because if he runs the model with one set of pipes, basically he's got to change all of his information and all. So, but hopefully I'll have another update by Thursday morning or so.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Madam City Attorney, do you have any comments?
No, sir.
Okay, Madam. Okay, thank you. Interim City Clerk. All right, I would entertain a motion that we adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Janann. Sorry, I probably just broke your ears.
Wham!
Okay, all right, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. What are you doing back here?